Anti-science.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, July 19, 2018. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 1052.
This is No Agenda.
With our toes touching the bottom of the rabbit hole and broadcasting live from the capital of the Drone Star State here in downtown Austin, Tejas, capital of the Drone Star State. As I said before, hit the Cludio in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley where, hey, summer's here. It's foggy and cold. I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Just make sure I'm in the capital of the Drone Star State. Just to make sure I said that enough times.
Yeah, say it again.
Nah, forget about it. But we are in the capital of the Drone Star State. And in the morning to you, my friend.
In the morning to you, in the morning to everybody out there, ships at sea, boots on the ground.
Yeah, yes, indeed.
And the subs in the water.
Oh, man. Well, Donnie done fucked up.
I know what you want to talk about. And
you have no idea. You have no idea what I want to talk about.
I don't. Well, I let me guess.
Okay.
If you mix clam juice with tomato juice, you get clamato.
Oh, very close.
And there's a funny thing that I observed. I don't know if it's still true, because I think maybe it's at least as of 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
In the United States, when you buy clamato juice and you look on the ingredients, it is powdered clams. It's not really. There's no clam juice in it. It's just like a clam extract or something. In Canada, you get actual clam juice.
Well, the Canadians, they know they're clams.
Yeah.
No, I was going to start with something else. In the Netherlands, there is a heat wave across Europe, really, but the Netherlands is, as you know, I grew up there, so I speak the language, and people are freaking out. And now the the Muslim clerics are going to do a mass prayer tomorrow, Friday, to pray for rain for the Netherlands. And I figured we'd give them a little hand.
Well, we did get a request from a couple of, not just for the Netherlands, but some other parts of the world and the fires we have in California. To give the rain shtick a shake. Okay,
so let's make sure that we know where we're directing this. So one direction is the Netherlands. That's very pinpoint, very small country, easy. I apologize, Belgium or Germany, if we hit you with the rain. It's hard to target a small country like that. Then we need California, and where else?
We're going to any other place that needs it.
Hey, anybody need some rain? Watch this.
Wait,
I'm already going. And the third. Okay. Woo!
I did one single flip.
Okay, I did 3 flips. And remember, John and I are trained professionals in the art of rain stickology. Please do not attempt this at home. And Austin, beware. You know, in 3 days, we'll get flooded out.
Well, yeah.
It always happens.
Well, you're over flipping. That's the reason.
Oh, please. How dare you critique my technique? Exactly.
So what else? I guess not much going on.
Nah, not a hell of a lot. Well, yes. We had the drinking game the other day as Amazon glitched out. It's unbelievable.
Yes.
Have you seen a single report explaining what actually happened?
Why would they bother? What's the point?
This is the fear that you and I have spoken about. You've written about it. If Amazon were to really go down, and it affected us too, because I was trying to change something on the server. We use Amazon Web Services for hosting the RSS feed, and I couldn't get to it.
Some's heads are going to roll.
Yeah, I felt bad for the dude's name, Ben, because you can just imagine when you get that day, and it was fun watching the Amazon stock price, which is out of anyone's range, really, like it's $1,800 a share. But in anticipation, because they were so smart, I think they thought they were smart by launching at 3 p.m. Eastern to launch the Amazon Prime Day, which would be right at the end of the market. And just as planned, the stock went up like 40 or 50 points, and then all the glitches took place, and it crashed after hours. But they just, it's no big deal. We still made $3 billion. Some shoppers experienced some issues. I don't know, man. All I saw was dogs. Did you see this?
I know what you're talking about.
Oh.
Except for the dog on the Amazon site.
Not just one, they had the dog. So instead of a 404 or a server overload or whatever the problem was, they defaulted to a picture, but there was a rotation of the dogs of Amazon. And they were cute dogs, no doubt. I guess it's the employees' dogs, and I must have seen 40 or 50 different ones refreshing.
Huh.
Yeah.
I saw that. I didn't know there was anything more to it than just a picture of a dog.
No, it was the dogs of Amazon with
I
glamour
think it's a
shot.
mistake. They're making this sounds like AWS is a dog. Bad association.
I agree. Well, anyway, but let's hope
Whose
that they.
idea was this?
Well, I know
these playful kittens.
Well, I know the CTO there, Werner Vogels. He's a Dutch guy. And I sent him a note like, "Hey, man, how's your day been? Everything rocking over there?" Poor guy. Yeah, then, of course, we had the Big Helsinki Summit, which...
well, of course, that's the top of the news.
There's a lot more, and there's a lot more about the summit to be discussed.
Well,
but yes,
it wasn't really. I was throwing people under the bus. I don't know how to start on this report.
The only thing I have the same issue. The only thing I could think of is maybe just a little bit of historical context about Russia. And I would say, starting with Reagan, certainly Bush, and definitely the Clintons, when the Soviet Union collapsed, everybody moved in, and we started, everybody, I think the U.S. certainly, with just stealing their shit. We're taking their resources, the oil, the gas, huge companies were set up. Everyone was taking advantage of Russia. And Putin came in.
In their weakened condition.
Yes, in their weakened condition. Now, once Yeltsin came in.
And we also moved NATO toward them when they couldn't do much about it.
We moved closer. Yeltsin came in. He was the drunk. Yeltsin was the drunk, wasn't it? Yeah, Yeltsin was the drunk.
He was not the only drunk, but yes, he was the major drunk.
Well, I had a couple conversations with some of our Q-level intelligence producers. And
I should also mention something else. Russians, what you would like if there was an Oxford in Russia, the normal high-level Russians, they always said, or I was told, that Yeltsin spoke like apparently Yeltsin's Russian was kind of like this if it could be translated into Russian.
Right. Well, and he was kind of put in, and from what I understand, that's when we actually helped Putin become a higher level at the KGB, steaming him up, getting him ready. I think he was definitely helped by our intelligence community. And then once he came in, Putin came in and started cleaning up, which of course created huge oligarchs. He's probably one himself. But let's not forget Mark Rich, and there was just a lot of Western, British, to be specific, and American people building up tremendous wealth in Russia at their weakest moment.
Stolen.
Yeah, of course it was stolen. So, there's a historical context here of America messing with Russia that you have to take into account. But throughout that period, we've always didn't Putin come to the ranch, to the Bush ranch?
I believe so. Yes.
The horrors that he came to.
It wasn't quite as bad as what happened in Helsinki.
He came to the ranch. Well,
the
now
media.
So and there's a lot to discuss about what went on there, but just the obvious. I think that I don't know if he was weak and just misspoke on purpose. He certainly buckled and clarified, very weak clarification.
The clarification I think caused more trouble than it was worth. But
I agree. Maybe not, but it's the guy is so transparent sometimes when he'll say, "Well, this is a double negative." So the way I see that is there was a meeting and they said, "Hey, we'll just change wood to wooden." He said, "That's a double negative. I would never do that." It's like these things pop at, like, "Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about." So he fucked up really badly. And I think he dented his reputation severely. Will he get past it? Absolutely.
Well, what did you perceive as the fuck up?
The fuck up was that he changed his story. That to me was the worst part. If he had stuck to his story and said, I don't really believe the Russians did it, that would be one thing. But then to buckle and change a story, I thought was incredibly weak.
I thought it was. Trump has been such a kind of a bonehead in a lot of ways, a bumbling guy that may be smarter than we think he is.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see this being anything more than a hiccup. I mean, it's just another thing.
That's different. I don't think it's. I just said I don't think it's a problem for him at all. But
well, let's listen to what my favorite bit on this came in late. This was Tucker Carlson, who was there in Helsinki,
mm-hmm.
and he did an intro to Trump's mea culpa, if you want to call it that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought this was pretty funny because it brought back memories of, if you could find it while you're playing this, memories of Ron Paul discussing in a bit, like in some weird setting, how the CIA took over the government in 1962 after Kennedy was assassinated.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson. Tonight we just landed from Helsinki, back in the nation's capital where it is hot and intense. We're going to have our full extended interview with the president from Helsinki. We're going to show that to you in just a minute. We asked him, of course, about Russia, but there are, believe it or not, many more important and pressing issues on the world stage, not just Russia. And we asked the president about those as well. We'll bring the whole thing to you coming up in just a second. But first, tonight, with remarkable speed and intensity, the media, the foreign policy establishment, both political parties have come together as one to attack the president for his meeting yesterday with the Russian president, Vladimir Putin. Anderson Cooper, John McCain, Mitt Romney, they all described the president's remarks about Russia as disgraceful. Former CIA Director John Brennan called those remarks treasonous and grounds for impeachment. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer announced that Trump was being blackmailed by a foreign power. Others accused him of being a sleeper agent, a spy. One member of Congress from Tennessee called for a military coup against the presidency. Well, as the rage storm swirled, the president bowed to the inevitable, genuflecting before U.S. intelligence agencies whose judgment must never be questioned, and recited the now obligatory oath of loyalty to the spy bureaucrats now in charge of our country.
Yeah. Let me play a little bit longer, or about a minute 15 of some media reaction right after the Helsinki Q&A ended.
All right, first, deep breath. This was a big day.
You have been watching perhaps one of the most disgraceful performances by an American president that I've ever seen.
It was probably the low point of the presidency.
Wow. Disgusting.
President Trump is not on America's team.
It was nothing short of treasonous. Donald Trump betrayed America.
We have a president who is betraying us.
He was like a scared child.
The way he cowered.
Trump was pretty nervous. Most people are nervous when meeting their boss.
He embraced him. He validated him.
While trashing his own country.
And gave the middle finger to America.
Embarrassing the country.
The single most embarrassing performance that I've ever seen.
The United States was attacked, and President Trump today sided with the enemy.
It is disgraceful. Refusing to side with his own country. His own country.
You should call this the Surrender Summit.
This is evidence of collusion.
What we saw yesterday was collusion.
And he's basically saying, I'm with Vlad.
Why he did so, I can't really get into that. I'm not a doctor.
Trump was so impotent, it's no wonder he leaves the Russian summit with one ball.
It's a nice gift, although I think Putin still has a set of Trump's balls.
It was time for Trump to put his foot down. And he did, right on America's dick.
Sorry, it's not funny.
Thank you very much, John Esser, for putting that together for us. He did it to music, too, for end of show. That's good, isn't it?
That was a terrific summary.
Yes.
And pretty close to the truth. I have a couple of clips that I'll play after you talk a little more, but there was that little piece with Rachel at the beginning, and I don't want to do this so early in the show, but since that was thrown in, I got to catch my breath. That was part of a longer little exposition she had at the beginning of her little spiel. She talks forever to get to the point.
Yeah, she does.
But I got an ISO that's quite interesting.
Okay. The Rachel ISO.
Not that deep.
Yes. Yeah, I figured you might pull that one.
Well, not that deep.
Now, here's what I think happened in Trump's mind, and probably what was going on in general, he is so wrapped up in himself about no collusion, which, the indictment certainly doesn't show any collusion, and there probably was no collusion. But he's so wrapped up in it that he's just thinking about him. I don't think he was thinking straight, and I also believe they had conversations that went on that we didn't really hear much about. But let's go back to the initial assessment, because what he said was, in a later tweet, I trust my intelligence sources. The sanction, and we have so many things to talk about. The sanctions were very detailed, and I have some background on that as to, this was a hack by the Russians. It's very clear from the indictment. But the intelligence community all agreeing, which was not true because it was CIA, FBI, NSA was reluctant, said, well, it was high probability. None of it was all in. It wasn't all intelligence agencies. It was a report presented by Clapper. It was a
lie. That's a lie. I'm getting sick of it.
Yeah, me too. And this started the report came out in January 2017. And I have a copy of the report in the show notes. This is not at all as specific on a technical level. There's a lot of, probably this is how it happened. But here was the Director of National Intelligence, Clapper, in January 2017, talking about this report.
Well, the news gods have dropped into our laps.
Yes, as they always do.
The perfect nexus of national security and politics with the hack of DNC emails and the alleged participation of Russia. So my colleagues and I at CNN, but also at other outlets, have been told by, and you've seen the reports, by a number of officials who've pointed their finger without much hesitation at Russia. The official in the White House said to me, there's little doubt it's Russia. I just wonder, does the intelligence community share that certainty?
Well, I'll just say that I don't think we're quite ready yet to make a call on attribution. I mean, we all know there are just a few usual suspects out there. So, but in terms of the process that we try to stick to, I don't think we're ready to make a public call on that yet.
So, and is that because you haven't made a decision to publicly name and shame, or because there's still some uncertainty?
A little both. Mm-hmm. A little both.
Do you think that that we in the media, but also some officials who've been speaking to us in the media, have gotten ahead of the certainty on this?
Yeah, I guess yes. Mm-hmm. I did. And frankly, taken aback a bit by somewhat hyperventilation over this. I mean, I'm shocked. Somebody did some hacking. Mm-hmm. That's never happened before.
Yeah, and that was the attitude, because that has always been the attitude, where everyone is always hacking everybody else one way or the other.
And before you go on, that was in 2017, yet the litany of complainers are all talking about how all 17 agencies agreed in 2016.
Never true. It was never true.
It was never true. It's a lie.
Right. So that is the report that Trump is actually disagreeing with. But it doesn't matter, because, it's the lie is there. It's done. You and I are not going to change it. We can just keep mentioning it.
Yeah, we can mention it and bitching.
But now to the technical part of what the accusations are. It's so really unbelievable, truly not to be believed, that the FBI could go to this level of understanding which people had done what they had done outside of the hack itself, Google searches, all kinds of other things that they were doing, presumably on their personal machines.
Well, you have a vague reference here. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Well, I'm leading into a clip. The
premise. I'm not understanding the premise.
Okay, so the indictment from Mueller,
the 12-man indictment.
Yes, the 12-man indictment goes to an incredible technical detail about how these 12 Russians who work for GRU, and by the way, I think that there's probably 500 Russians who work for GRU who are doing this. And let's not forget, Hillary's techno experts and how we were messing around with Putin's election. This has gone on for a long time, but like everything, we humans are very bad at understanding where the real risk is. is the real risk? Is it the opioid crisis, or is it traffic accidents, or is it 100,000 people who die in a hospital? We're not good at that. So this is now top of mind. This is the most important thing. Let's please not discuss that what the John Podesta phishing, which is also blamed on these 12 GRU agents, that actually uncovered corruption within the Democratic Party, where they were screwing Bernie Sanders, and that was the
DCC,
right? But that's also all in this intelligence report, which went to such a deep level, saying that the investigators who published this indictment knew even what the GRU agents were Googling on their desktop machine. So I'm not sure how it's okay to, in an indictment, say, hey, by the way, the quote is up in your business, because even renowned security expert Steve Gibson could not understand the level of this detail.
Any linkages between what would appear to be otherwise separate events, any reuse of IPs, of email accounts, of obscure domains and so forth, that can be used if you have like encyclopedic knowledge of every packet that transited the internet during that time. You can figure all this out. But I don't know how you do this short of having that kind of visibility into internet traffic. To me, this suggests there is a level of surveillance far in excess of what I at least have assumed was technically feasible. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I agree. And the only other explanation is we pretty much said, hey, we know we're in your systems. We are watching you all the time, which I don't think is a very smart thing to do if that's how they got this information.
In fact, it's a very dumb thing to do.
But
because you're revealing, you're revealing methodology. I just think it's bullcrap.
Well, let's just remember that the FBI was sent away. They did not get access to the server. They were sent a appropriate image. Now, the word appropriate is in there for a reason. An appropriate image of the server, which may very well have been a virtual server, I don't know, but a snapshot which also includes, the stuff that was happening in memory, etc. And they got this all from CrowdStrike. And we have to remember that CrowdStrike, run by Sean Henry, who was the executive assistant director of the criminal cyber response and services branch of the FBI, promoted by Robert Mueller. And so, I don't think it's correct, but Mueller, I guess, went like, hey, whatever your report is, it's good enough for me. Might want to point out that CrowdStrike's most recent Series D financing for $100 million included Google Capital. Yeah, so there's a lot of conflicts of interest, or some people might want to recuse themselves when it comes to working with an outside company, but it's not even really stated as it was done by an outside company. It's not stated. Yeah, well, there's a security firm one or something like that. But there's a lot of cross pollination there. And then the FBI official overseeing the task force left on Friday.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he walked out. He's done.
Well, before you play anymore, I want to play an interim clip that is kind of, I think, draws attention to kind of a problem that I'm always seeing here. And this is a local story, just a piece of a little bitty chunk called Local Analyst Aghast.
Our political analyst Larry Gerson joins us this evening. President Trump sided with Vladimir Putin. What did we just see this morning in terms of watching this unfold?
There. What do you mean sided with Vladimir? Well, he didn't side with anybody. What does that mean? Did you see him side?
Yeah, this was used more frequently. Sided. He sided. Well, he said what he said literally was, I have no reason to think why Russia would do this. So
anyway, continue to play. I just thought the word it just bothers
this morning in terms of watching this unfold with the world.
Well, first of all, it's hard to know what happened when you talk to their meeting, about their meeting. Why? Nobody was there except for 2 interpreters. There were no note takers. Now, typically in a meeting like this, you have note takers so that when it's out, when it's done, the reporters and others get what we call a readout. We know nothing of what happened except what we heard afterwards at the press conference. And what does that leave us with, knowing what President Trump really said? Given his reputation for his inability to sometimes tell the truth or at least mend it, it's hard to know. And we have to rely on that meeting.
Okay, so afterwards they held this news conference. What surprised you the most?
Surprised? How about astonished? I was astonished. I was astonished because he threw his intelligence community under the bus. Astonished because at the time of his inauguration, 17 agency heads, all of them relating to intelligence, said the Russians had interfered. Astonished because last Friday, Director of National Intelligence Dan Coats said the Russians were still interfering. It was red light blinking time, as it was right before 9/11. Astonished also because last Friday, Director Mueller, I should say Special Counsel Mueller, announced the indictment of 12 Russians to go along with 19 other indictments. The president says he needs to see evidence. I don't know what other evidence he needs.
And the red light blinking came from Senator Blumenthal, who, this is a callback to the beginning of your clip. He has a novel idea.
Republicans have a historic responsibility, as do all of us, because the red light is flashing, as the Director of National Security, Dan Coats.
Now, is that a talking point, do you think, or did your guy just copy that one? I
think these guys, there could be, you might be right. There may be a talking point, but I'm going to go back to that clip, mine. At the end, he says Trump wants to see more evidence, and he says, what more evidence does he need? And what he refers to is, what more evidence does he need than the 12 indictments and the 19 indictments and the bull crap about everybody agreeing during his, which is not true, as you proved just with the Clapper clip. That was just a lie that he just threw out there. What evidence does he have? Somebody being indicted is not evidence.
No. Well, that's
it's a happenstance.
That's lost in the shuffle. Listen to the rest of this clip of Blumenthal, though.
Flashing, as the Director of National Security, Dan Coats, put it, much as it was before 9/11. We are in a 9/11 national emergency because our country is under attack. Literally, that attack is ongoing and pervasive, verified by objective and verifiable evidence. Those words are, again, from the Director of National Security. And this 9/11 moment demands that we do come together, issue a subpoena, not only for the translator and the notes, but also for the national security team.
He wants to subpoena the translators. What did they say?
What did they say?
I love that.
Translate. I don't pay attention.
I think I'm sure they could do that. I'm sure they can subpoena the translator. What did he say? Oh, my goodness. That would be fantastic.
I think this is shameful that Blumenthal or anybody, and then you might be right. There's possible talking points out there, because there's that mug, and I don't know if I put a picture of the mug in the.
Yeah, you did. Well, it was the 9/11-11-9 was the mug, and here's a clip from Jill Wine Banks. Now, she was a prosecutor in the Watergate scandal, and she takes it to the next level.
At some point, this has a complexity that's even richer than the one you were involved in with the Watergate investigation, in that nobody thought that Richard Nixon was working on behalf of an enemy of the United States. How do you even make sense of this?
You can't make sense of it. It's very hard to possibly analyze, and you're quite correct. The burglars were Americans. They worked for the White House. They worked for the committee to reelect the president. They weren't foreign agents, and yet we were burglarized this time by foreign agents. And it's just as serious to me as the Cuban Missile Crisis in terms of an attack, or the 9/11 attack. The president is taking the side of the people who attacked us instead of trying to prevent a future attack. He has done nothing to make sure that the elections 4 months away are going to be safe. And I would say that his performance today will live in infamy as much as the Pearl Harbor attack or Kristallnacht. And it's really a serious issue that we need to deal with. there's no explanation for what could be motivating him, no matter what Russia has on him.
That's right. That's right. Jews, you're on deck. Kristallnacht. That's taking it a bit far, but Richard Engel always surprises.
One of the things I do think is that's been a problem, and I don't know how to address it. I'm sort of with Bill. I'm a little bit gobsmacked and flummoxed at the same time. We are under attack from Russia. If there were physical missiles, like during the Cuban missile crisis, Americans would be in the streets and protesting and asking for the president to protect us. These are invisible missiles. Oh. These are digital missiles that are going into our system.
Digital missiles. And it really is the education.
Well, if the Engel, of course, being a CIA front man, that means the CIA is still going after Trump. They want to elect some.
Sorry, digital missile slipped. Yeah. Well, there were some other noises. Luckily, although you had to search quite far and wide. And now. Professor Stephen Cohen, who we like a lot, he was on a couple of different shows, but I found a clip of him with, what's the name, Mearsheimer, also a Russian scholar, professor. And they talk about exactly what's going on. It's a little longer clip. It's about 3.5 minutes. But this was on Vice News on HBO. And what I like so much about how they set it up, well, you'll hear as they're going to introduce 2 American professors, very well schooled in Russia, its relationship to the United States, its position in the world for decades. These guys do know what they're talking about. They have standing. You know, they're either emeritus or they're real professors. And here's how Vice positioned them and what they said.
Despite the overwhelmingly negative reaction to today's summit, not everyone thinks the president's Blame America First approach to Russia is wrong. Michael Moynihan met with 2 American foreign policy experts, old comrades Stephen Cohen and John Mearsheimer.
Hold on a second. So she says that the whole thesis is that Russia, or that Trump is using, is blame America first. What is he blaming America for?
Blame America first, and then 2 American professors prefaced as comrades.
Oh, I missed that.
Listen again.
Thinks the president's Blame America First approach to Russia is wrong. Michael Moynihan met with 2 American foreign policy experts, old comrades Stephen Cohen and John Mearsheimer.
That's. I mean, it's pretty obvious what you're trying to say there. Oh, comrades. Wow. Clearly, these professors have been co-opted by Putin.
As a result, to hear their admittedly unpopular case for the rightness of Russia.
I could go down a list of what people have called you, Stephen.
Go ahead. It should be on
Stooge of Putin.
Mainly Putin apologists.
Putin apologists. Are they right?
There's been a tsunami of these attacks on me. Many in once distinguished publications. There is a market, an appetite for this defamation. They're uninformed.
The question you want to ask yourself is, why won't people engage in a legitimate debate with people like Steve and me? And I believe the reason they won't is they would lose the debate. I'm fully confident of that.
And I'll summarize how I see it, and not sure John fully agrees. At the moment, as we talk, we are eyeball to eyeball in a new Cold War with Russia.
Putin was one of the few leaders in the world who stood up to the Americans. And the main manifestation of that was the Ukraine crisis. There's a big question here with regard to the Ukraine crisis. Who is principally responsible for causing it? And I think that the evidence is clear that it's the United States and its West European allies.
It was deeply rooted in Washington that if you take Ukraine, bring it into the West, militarily, economically, through the EU, through NATO, Russia would be nothing more than what Obama called a weak regional power.
But don't those countries have a right to decide whether or not they want to join NATO?
No, they don't.
They don't?
That's a very foolish way of thinking about international politics.
I'm just talking about the people of those countries who say, we want to join NATO. We were under the boot heel of Russia for too long. We want to join this alliance. It's slightly different than
you're assuming that people make foreign policy. Any fool could have told you that by bringing in countries on Russia's borders with historical grievances against Russia, we're going to diminish everybody's national security.
That's exactly right. let's say, the Soviet Union or China at some future point forms a military alliance with Mexico and Canada on our border, we would never tolerate it.
And let me ask presumably, you and I and John would demand that the American president react. Would he be aggressive? Would that be aggression if he reacts?
It would be defensive.
We've demonized Putin, and we Putinized Russia, so we've demonized Russia. Russophobia is running amok in this country. I've seen these things from the inside. I rethought how we got to the edge of war with Russia, where we haven't been since Cuba in 1962, and I have concluded it is 95% our own doing.
Speaking of percentages, would you see that percentage of war breaking out between the U.S. and Russia as getting smaller with Donald Trump in office?
Trump is wrong on a lot of things, but on the thing that I care most about, because I think it's existential, because I think it's life and death, if he means what he said, he was right. It would be great to cooperate with Russia. I would go farther. It's imperative.
So how's he doing so far?
Well, we don't know yet. We will have to see. But the attack on him is ferocious. President of the United States is being kept from doing what we've demanded of every president. Keep us out of war with Russia. We've crippled Trump. Now, on the other hand, Trump doesn't cripple easily. He just presses on, rightly or wrongly. So I hope that he and Putin reach a series of agreements that will keep us safe.
The tremendous hostility in the establishment to this meeting at Helsinki is largely driven by the fact that people want to undermine Trump. But furthermore, they have to explain how he got elected in the first place. It can't be because Hillary Clinton or the Democrats didn't run a good campaign. It can't be because the American people are that foolish. It has to be because they were tricked.
Opponents of Donald Trump are using Putin as kind of a patsy or a fall guy to attack him.
Yes, as a hammer to beat him over the head.
That these people would prefer trying to impeach Trump to averting nuclear war or war with Russia. If it's come to that, Trump's no longer to blame. We are ourselves.
And I think that's the last you're going to hear on any type of reasonably mainstream media of these two guys.
The comrades.
And what the hell do they know, really? But I do have some thoughts about what is really going on. It's not like we haven't kind of touched on this over the course of the past many years. And part of it came up in one of Putin's statements, which is under-discussed, and that is this.
For instance, we can bring up the Mr. Browder in this particular case. Business associates of Mr. Browder have earned over $1.5 billion in Russia. They never paid any taxes, neither in Russia nor in the United States. And yet the money escaped the country. They were transferred to the United States. They sent huge amount of money, $400 million, as a contribution to the campaign of Hillary Clinton. Well, that's their personal case. It might have been legal, the contribution itself, but the way the money was earned was illegal. So we have a solid reason to believe that some intelligence officers accompanied and guided these transactions. So we have an interest of questioning them.
Now, this is not really discussed much because it goes to the Magnitsky Act, which no one really understands nor wants to talk about, unless you understand that Browder's lawyer was Magnitsky, who, there's this, he was killed by Putin, by the Russians.
We talked about this in great detail.
Yeah, but it's very hard for the mainstream to get into this because all of these uncomfortable names start to come up. But this is part of the rape of Russia, and Browder, who became a British citizen because he didn't want to get in any trouble in the U.S., who,
No, it's because he didn't want to pay taxes.
That's trouble in the U.S., in my book. That's trouble in the U.S.
Yeah,
but then what Putin says is, I don't know, but $400 million went to Clinton's campaign, and that's not going to come up anywhere in the M5M analysis. Luckily, we have former CIA agent Kevin, what is his name? Kevin Shipp, who I'm sure will be deemed to be a crackpot and a numbskull, but he kind of touches on what was going on, and it comes back to an age-old saying they use in the Netherlands.
What she did was she formed basically the equivalent of an international super PAC to funnel money through the Uranium One deal. I think it was $140+ million into the Clinton Foundation. She did that because these donations went to secret offshore bank accounts. They are not bound by FOIA laws in the United States because it's foreign money. These foreign donations into the Clinton Foundation through Uranium One are not bound by congressional subpoena. So her secret server and this whole deal with the Clinton Foundation essentially was set up as basically foreign espionage to conceal all this, especially from Congress. I think there were $2 billion that went into her presidential campaign over 4 years through Uranium One. Uranium One was a front company for her to launder money globally, so it wouldn't be under U.S. law. This was Russian intelligence had targeted the Clintons for this operation. And the most bizarre thing about it, amongst many, is that Robert Mueller was in charge and running a counterintelligence investigation against Russia during the Uranium One deal. He knew that the Russians were engaged in extortion, bribery, racketeering, as you mentioned, related to Uranium One. He approved the Uranium One deal, knowing that these millions of dollars were going into the Clinton Foundation, and he ignored the fact that the Russians had targeted and essentially co-opted Hillary Clinton and were funneling money into her campaign, and of course $500,000 for Bill Clinton to go over there and speak. And Robert Mueller, in charge of FBI counterintelligence and that investigation, ignored the whole thing, brought no charges, and just basically put it under the blankets and covered it up.
Now, that's just more of a backgrounder. The way I see it, and this is why we've had this intense hatred and blaming everything on Russia since Hillary lost, is everybody, all these names, were all complicit. I'm pretty sure that factions, if not Putin himself, were running Hillary Clinton. That makes nothing but sense. Why wouldn't he? And she had set up a front company to launder money for herself and for her campaign. And Mueller actually was intimately involved, not just on the sign-off. I believe he actually delivered uranium personally. He delivered it. That's pretty well documented. And everyone was hunky-dory, and things were going ahead as usually they do, certainly with the rape of Russia. And, Russia's paying for everything. This is all great. We'll screw them later, as Hillary has done in the past. And she lost. And that was unexpected. And then everyone had to cover up, but there was so much that couldn't be covered up. They just flipped it. Wat je zegt ben jezelf, met je kop door de helft. You accuse others that of what you are guilty of. And they were colluding with Russia. Nothing better than to just flip it on its head.
Well, it kind of caught Trump off guard. The problem is there's such a weak aspect to it that it's kind of, you can yell and scream about Trump and this Helsinki thing, which to me, from the before I have a clip I wanted to play, but before I get there, I want to mention something I kind of stumbled on. I stumbled on ABC's online. They have an online show that has got some radio guy with a really unbelievably nice voice.
Already, then.
And he's got the big mic on his in the cans, and he's there, and they got a camera on him. And what it looks like he's doing, it's part of ABC News, and I don't know how many people watch it or can even find it, but I found it. He brings on everybody that. It looks like he's doing it's like a minor league thing. It looks like he's running a farm team. It looks like he's bringing on different congressmen and all these people to clear them for the evening news.
Oh, to see if they have the right story.
Yeah.
Huh.
And so he brings on these different guys, and they had all the usual suspects. And then, to see what he's going to say, they bring on Rand Paul.
Uh-huh.
And Rand Paul I think gives a beautiful presentation, makes nothing but sense, and they cut him out of the picture. He's mentioned once that there's somebody's – in other words, anyone who said anything kind of normal about what they saw at this Trump Helsinki thing, which is the way we saw it, was a guy goes to meet the Russians. They didn't want him to do that. They didn't want him to meet Putin. They didn't want any of that to happen. And no matter what he did or what he said, they're going to blast him for it. And this clip kind of comes out of one guy bitching and moaning, and the guy transitions to Rand Paul. It's a little longer than I like, but I think you'll like it. This is the Rand Paul clip.
Oops, I'm sorry. This is not the long form of Helsinki?
No, the Rand Paul clip.
Oh. I don't have the Rand Paul clip. Sorry.
Yeah, the Rand
Paul clip. I heard you the first time.
Was giving me enjoyed his aim. He's put Russia back, not just on the map, but at the top of the heap. He was in a very self-satisfied mood today.
ABC's Terry Moran traveling with the president in Helsinki.
You're right. This is one of those ABC News 10-10 wins.
Terry, our thanks to you, and we return our conversation to ABC News political analyst Steve Roberts for his thoughts on, as Terry suggests, what may have been a very comfortable atmosphere for Vladimir Putin today.
Well, Terry made a very good point. This summit is the culmination of a long history here in the post-Soviet world of Putin trying to restore Russia to its former glory, its former position as one of the two great superpowers in the world. President Trump handed Putin two victories today. The first was just simply to be there, and the second was to talk about the two world superpowers. This is exactly what Putin has wanted to hear for many years.
Steve, Senator Rand Paul, Republican of Kentucky, joins us now. Senator, thank you. You had said that you were glad President Trump was meeting with Putin, that this kind of dialogue was good. Based on the outcome, you still feel that way?
Yeah, if you look back at our history, we've had some very dire times with Russia, the Cuban Missile Crisis maybe being the height of that. But during the Cuban Missile Crisis, we had a direct line to Khrushchev. We also at the time had an ambassador in Russia, and we carried on dialogue. So I think it's incredibly important to have dialogue. And I think the people who are criticizing having dialogue with Russia and are overstating that somehow this grants legitimacy to Putin are people who aren't really looking at this in a very realistic way. I think foreign policy realism looks at the world more as it is and looks at the world in a way in which we try to minimize the risk of conflict.
But did the president have to be so seemingly ingratiating, or at least on the same page when it came to the issue of meddling and interference?
I think often when you meet with people in person that simply the civilities of meeting together in person and a show of rapport are greater than they are when we're discussing our differences. And so I think we should continue to air our grievances, air our differences. But to tell you the truth, I wouldn't always air them directly in a confrontational way in a meeting like this. And so I think there are other ways of bringing that forward. I think some of the people are very naive who are saying, well, he should demand that he admit that they meddled in our politics and they're never going to do it again. One, they're never going to admit they did it, and we appear to have evidence that they did meddle in our campaign, but they're never going to admit it. And the thing is if you look at things in the totality of this, you look at the history of meddling in elections, all of the nations that can spy do spy on each other, and all the nations that can meddle in elections do meddle in other elections.
Senator Paul, we thank you very much, and we continue our coverage from ABC News.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Cutting room floor.
Well, also, I think the only place that took Rand Paul, I didn't clip it, was because it was just unlistenable, was CNN with Brolf. And that was just a shouting match between the two of them. And again, I didn't clip it because it was just too convoluted, but he only made it on there with his message and obviously didn't make it anywhere else. And by the way, the term meddling, when it comes to condemning someone for doing something, meddling is not very strong. The definition, which is in the show notes, is, you are interfering in other people's business. That's not quite the same as hacking our election, which also there's this, they keep saying they got 500,000 voter names and partial. No,
they got the voting records, which are public.
But you can get them from the website. I also don't think they were successful in that. All the reports I've seen is one tried, the rest was probing ports, and also
they're having too much fun on social media.
Yeah, way too much fun.
Now, the thing that we do have a report from PBS. This is another one. This is another one of these transitions where they go from one topic to another. But they bring this woman in on PBS to discuss the Russians learned a lot, apparently, from this meddling, and now they're going to up their game. So I'm wondering, what does that even mean? So to play this clip, this is clearly the Russians know clip.
Clearly, the Russians know that the U.S. is on guard at this point. They were successful to a degree in 2016. This year, they must be trying different things. What do you see that is different or better or more sophisticated from them now?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. One of the things that Dan Coates has said is that we think they will be learning lessons, or that they have learned lessons. And we think that they're adopting those as they're looking at new ways to divide Americans. So some of the things that we've seen is them weighing in on things like the NFL protests, whether it was, good or bad, appropriate or not for NFL players to be taking a knee during the national anthem. We saw accounts on Twitter that have now been identified as ones that were created by the Internet Research Agency, but were pretending to be Americans, accounts that had tens of thousands of followers, weighing in on both sides of that issue. We've seen social media accounts that we now know were operated by the Internet Research Agency in St. Petersburg, weighing in on issues like the Me Too movement. We've seen them weighing in on things like Roseanne Barr's racist comments. So we see these kinds of activity basically trying to stoke tensions within America.
And you mentioned...
Wait a minute, is Roseanne a Russian agent now?
No, but coming in and arguing about whether she should have been fired or not is stoking tensions.
Okay.
Do these people ever look at a Rob Reiner tweet?
He's a nice guy.
So we see these kinds of activity basically trying to stoke tensions within America.
And you mentioned a minute ago, Juliette Kayyem, that you're still waiting for the federal government to do more to pull this together. The White House is saying they are working on this. The Department of Homeland Security says they're working on this. So what more needs to be done from Washington and in the states?
Well, I think that's right. So I think we need to view...
Wait a minute. Did you edit that?
Oh, I'm sorry. That was a mistake I made. But I was trying
more needs to be done from Washington and in the states.
I think that's right. So I think we need to view this as a threat to any other critical infrastructure. We do not leave transportation security to the states and locals. We distribute money. We have actually oversight from the federal perspective. And you have a focus from the federal government. Now, that may be true from the agency side. Department of Homeland Security is clearly working with state and locals in this regard. But until we begin from the White House and President's statements to understand that this battle to protect our systems has begun already, as Dan Coates has said, you're not going to get the focus that you need to on the state and local level.
All right. Now,
wait a minute. Let's stop a minute and consider this.
Yeah.
We're talking about the $100,000 in lame advertising on Facebook and going onto Twitter as a fake personality, which of course is what the tech experts would do. And if you remember during that, one of the conflicts in Iraq or elsewhere, where this so-called lesbian who was some guy in London in an apartment, and he was posing as a beat-up lesbian in some area of one of these conflict zones on Twitter, and it became a scandal. And I mean, this is to say, and for listening to Blumenthal to say this is like 9/11, this is like Pearl Harbor, and it's involving tweets. And guys posing
those are digital missiles, my friend.
They pose as Americans on Twitter.
Yeah,
is insane. Who cares?
Thank you. And I think that's the bottom line for this part of the analysis is it's really who gives a crap. We know this happens. We know there's hacking. We know there's meddling. It's what goes. I mean, we hacked Angela Merkel's phone. Come on. In 2012, the CIA was eavesdropping on the French elections. This is not new, and we're just as culpable. Fine. It's not. It's just
we invented it.
Hey, we're number one, baby. We
are
came
number
up
one.
with this
We're
shit.
the guys who started that. We're the guys who got the whole scene
Stop
going.
giving credit away.
Yeah,
credit where credit is due. Yeah. Now there were two very important things which are not discussed and that do make a difference. Will directly impact our lives collectively. And that is this little ditty.
If I may, I throw in some 2 cents. We talked to Mr. President.
In case it wasn't clear, this is Putin's translator.
Including this subject as well. we are aware of the stance of President Trump, and I think that we, as a major oil and gas power, and the United States is a major oil and gas power as well, we could work together on regulation of international markets, because neither of us is actually interested in the plummeting of the prices. And the consumers will suffer as well, and the consumers in the United States will suffer as well, and the shale gas production will suffer. Because beyond a certain price bracket, it's no longer profitable to produce gas. But nor we are interested in driving prices up, because it will drain life juices from all other sectors of the economy, from machine building, etc. So we do have space for cooperation here.
Now, I thought this was very important because the price of oil determines everything in the economy, and literally in your own pocket. You know, what am I paying for to fill up my car? And I got an interesting note that goes along with this from one of our producers who wants to remain anonymous. He's a dude named Ben/Coder at a data analytics company for the oil and gas industry. And here's his note. I don't know much about the industry itself, but I can tell by how many people are willing/wanting to talk to our sales guys. Because oil keeps flirting with $80 a barrel, everybody has loosened up their purse strings. This has been a blessing and a curse, as people are finally in the mindset to go looking for new software to aid their growth and new venture teams. But it's also a time when people get starry-eyed with big ideas of what they could do with the perfect solution. I was going through the Trump-Putin summit when Putin came back with his response about oil and gas. He says, as much as Trump may be complaining on Twitter to OPEC that oil is too expensive and trying to get Germany to buy American liquid natural gas instead of Russian, the current prices are great for the industry. It's in the sweet spot, which is what Putin was saying, not too low, not too high. After fracking was commonplace, American drilling companies figured out how to make money at $40 a barrel. It was painful, and there were massive layoffs. Software budgets of tens of millions were slashed, and the industry found out exactly what was the minimum software purchase needed for a new startup or mid-sized upstream company. At $50 a barrel, companies were white-knuckled shuffling around the deck chairs to play at trying to be efficient. But at 70 plus, the reins are just loose enough that VPs are spending a little bit of time dreaming on how to put together their ideal build-out in terms of staffing, in terms of land, software, in terms of how new methods they want to use to investigate. If we go much higher, we're going to hit the problem of no nose to grindstone and people letting perfect be the enemy of good. So, back to Trump and Putin. Neither of them want the price to go lower, but they'd both be interested to see the price rise a little higher. Trump is holding out for $100 a barrel to get Aramco to go public. And I think they're both trying to make this happen.
The point being?
You're going to see oil go to $100 a barrel.
No, the point being, what's the point of him wanting to see Aramco go public? Why?
Because it's great for NASDAQ. We add all that to our. I think we get to add that to our numbers.
That's not the way it works.
Okay. Having Saudi.
Talk about this on DH Unplugged, this Aramco deal.
Oh, good. Tell me about it. I don't know. All I know is it's a big deal.
Well, it's the biggest deal.
Yeah.
It will be the absolute. Which reminds me, it's the biggest deal ever. It will be the number one IPO ever put out. It's going to be worth so much money. It's ridiculous, but they can't do it unless they can sweeten the deal and make it look like they're going to, everyone's going to make out.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have to get the price of oil up. It's actually high enough now so that I think the deal is easily going to clear. But that's not what I'm asking. The point what I'm asking is, what's Trump's interest in this? Is it because he's buddies with the Saudis? Or it's because, and he can't really control the price of oil one way or the other. I mean, it might be wishful thinking, and it'd be nice to have it go way up there, but there's something missing from this analysis of this guy of yours.
Oh, I don't understand why Trump wouldn't want to take that and put that feather in his cap and say, how is that a feather in anybody's cap who's an American? This doesn't benefit us. By having them list on our stock exchange, there's no benefit?
It's not. Well, they're good. They should just be right straight into the New York Stock Exchange. But no, there's no benefit. They're on the stock exchange. Okay, then we got to do the stock.
All right.
So what?
All right. So then why is Trump making such a big deal about that IPO?
Which is?
Yeah.
Where?
Oh, when he was over in Saudi Arabia, that's all that it was about. We've discussed it prior.
Well, I don't remember discussing it, for one thing, about the IPO. And two, I'd like to know why he is making such a big deal about it.
Well, I can see why it's I can see why it's a big deal for Putin to have it at 100.
Well, yeah. Well, Putin needs high oil prices. Yeah. He's fine at 80, by the way. Over 660, in fact.
And maybe Putin wants to hold that back. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he wants to keep it under 100. Maybe that's part of the discussion. I think it was just more important than a little throwaway that no one looked at.
Oh, I think it's important that they do some sort. If they want to conspire together to keep the oil prices at something fixed, something so it's not fluctuating so much. So I think that's great.
Well, how about this?
I still don't see why Trump cares.
But I'm shooting from the hip here. Well, I'm shooting from the hip. Maybe he doesn't want it to come to the stock exchange. Maybe he wants to bankrupt them, let them just run out of money. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure the $100 is in play.
It's been in play before. It can't hold that. The world's market, because of the United States, and I would blame this on, I don't know, Soros, who may want to keep the prices down, and whoever's promoting electric vehicles and high gasoline, gas mileage, and all these other things results in you can't suck that much oil out of the system anymore at $100. People they balk at it. Right. 100's never been held.
Right. All right. Well, but maybe it'll tap it. I don't know.
The demand is down.
Hey, I don't.
All the alternative energy plays are working against it.
Okay. I do not have enough standing to argue this. Now, I did have a chat with Pechenik the other day.
Okay.
Yeah, I called him and said, all right. And after listening to his life story, I said, what did you think? Oh, he's a talker, man. I love the guy.
The guy's a talker. Talkers
talk for hours with this guy. Yeah, it's usually about all kinds of other stuff. But he said, yes, I'm very worried. Very worried about something that was a throwaway line when the two of them were sitting down before they went in for their one-on-one meeting with the soon-to-be subpoenaed translators. And this was the line.
Most importantly, we have a lot of good things to talk about and things to talk about. We have discussions on everything from trade to military to missiles to nuclear to China. We'll be talking a little bit about China. Our mutual friend, President Xi.
All right. So here was Pechenik's analysis of that statement. He says he feels that the two of them probably spoke a lot about Xi specifically, not just China, but about Xi. And it is Pechenik's belief, and let's not argue because I can't counter-argue it, that China's economy is actually very hollow and there's a huge problem in this shell of what they're presenting. I know that they continue to devalue against the dollar. The Horowitz even tweeted about that. But this goes back to ZTE. And, well, actually, two parts. One is that Xi politically may be, according to Pechenik, politically may be in trouble in China. First of all, he's kind of taking on the, he's a victim of the Mao aggression. He's kind of taking that on. He said, I'm going to be president for life. And China's a big country. And if people, if things don't go well with the middle class, which it seems they may be suffering, or the new middle class may not get what they expect, someone new could rise up. And Pechenik's prediction was Xi will be out within the year. But he feels there could be a domino effect. There could be the economy could come crashing down. And he believes that could be with something as small as ZTE. I'll just refresh your memory.
U.S. President Donald Trump said Tuesday he's not happy with the China trade talks last week, and there's no deal yet on what to do with troubled tech firm ZTE. The Commerce Department slapped the company with a sales ban in April after ZTE pled guilty to shipping American-made technology to Iran. However, Beijing has been pushing the U.S. to roll back its punishment as part of negotiations to avert a trade war between the two countries. On Tuesday, Trump floated fines on ZTE instead, and a shakeup at the top.
So what I envision is a very large fine of more than $1 billion, could be $1.3 billion. I envision a new management, a new board.
A Bloomberg report on Wednesday said ZTE estimates $3 billion worth of losses from sanctions. The company buys an estimated 25 to 30% of its components from U.S. firms, and the ban in April effectively crippled its operations. But Trump said the current penalty has also hurt the U.S. firms that do business with ZTE.
They can pay a big price without necessarily damaging all of these American companies.
Trump's proposal triggered immediate resistance in Congress. Lawmakers across party lines accused the president of letting ZTE off the hook and bending to pressure from Beijing. The reaction could complicate Trump's efforts to win concessions to narrow a trade gap with China of more than $300 billion.
So if you believe people like Adam Schiff, the reason Trump wanted this exception for ZTE, the second largest technology company, was in order to build Trump Tower in Beijing, or for Ivanka's patents on her or trademarks on her brand to be approved. It's all emoluments clause. I think, and this is coming from Pechenik, and I think it's arguable that Xi said, look, I can't have 77,000 jobs just disappear overnight. It's going to trigger something, and it just may be bad. Now, Trump and Xi have been buddies. You know, Xi came all the way to Mar-a-Lago. I think the guy's been groveling, and I have a feeling that the assertion that Trump and Putin together are trying to figure out what they can do to not have China collapse, because that would be bad for everybody. In the U.S. will be okay. But it turns out they can't really sustain their growth without stealing our technology. They need our technology. And that's now being cut off through sanctions. People can't do business with them anymore. And they're in trouble. Like, holy crap, we can't build the next thing. And, oh, by the way, if you cut us off at the knees right here with ZTE, things may go horribly wrong. And I think that it's worth considering this theory.
I think it is worth considering. It's a funny idea. Well, we do know, and again, Horowitz and I do discuss this. I don't so much as he does. These phony baloney numbers that the Chinese keep coming up with to justify whatever it is they're up to, including building ghost cities, to balance the books and these other things, it's really kind of wild what's going on in China. But it's not. I mean, unless the whole economic structure of China is, and there is some possibility of this, is alien to everything we've known for hundreds and hundreds of years about how economies work, unless that's something from the aliens have established over there in China, they can't sustain this bull crap the way they're doing it. It just doesn't make any sense. By the way, Westerners look at economies anyway. I don't know. I mean, it's possible that maybe just the thing could collapse at the drop of a hat. I mean, anything. We've seen stuff like that happen in markets where, the housing market in 2007, 2008, nobody was expecting it to collapse the way it did and take the whole world's economy with it.
No. And add to that, I didn't know that Foxconn was a Taiwanese company. I always thought it was Chinese.
Yeah. And I think it's owned by a Malaysian Chinese guy.
Right. So they've just opened up a huge plant in, where is it? Like Ohio or something?
North Dakota.
North Dakota, yeah.
Something like that.
$10 billion plant. That could be a hedge to make sure we get our iPhones.
Ooh, that's a nice one.
I mean,
that's a good observation. That could be a hedge. It may have. Trump still one takes credit for it, but it's possible that this was in the works.
Could be.
Which makes more sense. You can't do these things overnight.
Right.
It was in the works as a hedge because most of the big Taiwanese tech companies rely on China. They've all moved to China. Acer, everybody that was always building in Taiwan, they don't do that anymore. Taiwan's become kind of a banking center or a place where you have your head office. But all their facilities are now in China.
Right.
And they rely on China, and I can see them getting a little freaky because the Chinese system is.
I think it's Wisconsin is where the Foxconn.
Oh,
Wisconsin.
It's one of the northern states. Okay, You're right. I think it is. Yeah. It's possible. That's actually a good possibility.
But if
by the way, I'm going to bring this up, not use the same analysis you just did. This is a little off topic. We'll get right back to the topic. I think Amazon is going to leave Seattle.
Why wouldn't they? I meant to say why would. I'm sorry. I messed up.
Yeah, you messed up. You got to have
my double negative. Well, they're certainly looking for headquarters. They say
they're looking for the so-called second headquarters. I think that's a ruse. You don't have a second headquarters.
Yeah, good point.
There's only a headquarters.
Yeah, good point.
The second headquarters is a ruse. They're looking to leave Seattle, and the only reason I may write about this, I might not, but just for people who are interested in the thought, is that they have a socialist, damn near a communist city council, led by this one Indian woman from India, or she's an Indian descent, American, but she's a Bernie Sanders socialist. They want to put a head tax on Amazon. They want to do all these things and rape them if they can.
Yeah.
And then as I'm reading this, can you imagine what the just to the Seattle metro area, what contribution in financial terms Amazon makes to that area, what it brings to the area?
I have no idea. I'm sure it's huge.
$38 billion a year.
Well, that rivals the grunge movement. This is from the the South China Post, I think. Under its Made in China 2025 program, Beijing envisages becoming a global leader in artificial intelligence, robotics, and telecommunications, including a plan to build out the world's largest 5G network. But the block on ZTE is a wake-up call as it exposes the Achilles heel of the country's high-tech industry, its lingering reliance on key foreign technologies stealing. This is why the U.S. action has triggered such a widespread patriotic reaction in China, underscoring the growth tension between the world's two biggest economies. And then we have, is this Bloomberg? I think this is Bloomberg. Let me see. Forbes, for what it's worth. Analysis: ZTE's collapse reveals China's huge dependence on U.S. technologies. I think that this is troubling. And it's really gotten to a very bad point. All this stuff has to be years ahead of time. But without the technologies and without the secrets, without stealing the secrets, which is, and the main thing, and this again comes from Steve Pieczenik, is that the code that ZTE stole or took, or I guess they stole it and then they packaged it and sold it off, was apparently from the geospatial guys. And they looked at what was stolen. This would be recently, and they said, let them have it. It's fine. And that's when Trump said, okay, let's not put these guys out of business. They can keep that. But, this may be his leverage. Well, it is his leverage if true. And I just, but not a single question from the media about that.
No, of course not.
About that, what did you discuss about President Xi?
Well, first of all, why would you ask a question like that that might put him in a good light and not get you to vote Democrat?
Yes. Anyway,
I put it in the newsletter. I've been meaning to put it in there. I said the only thing going on with the mainstream media right now is propaganda to get you to vote Democrat. And it's across the board.
Yes.
And I noticed this, by the way, one of the things that's just happened recently is apparently the New Yorker magazine, this is doom for them, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Is going to unionize.
Yeah, that's always good for business. In the
so
news
they're going to
business.
unionize. Well, unions are effective in a
unions.
manufacturing environment.
I'm a member of unions. I'm not against them, but I know what happens with an outfit like that.
In situations like that, it doesn't make a lot of sense. This thing's been in business for 100 years, and it doesn't need a union. And the unions, by the way, are all Democratic, and that's why there's been a couple of right-to-work laws passed in certain states because people are sick of their unions spending all their money on the Democrat Party.
Right.
And that's why it's a reasonable thing to sue over. But because there are some people in unions that are not Democrats, but generally speaking, this is a Democratic thing. And this is all we're seeing, and it's getting on my nerves, especially this all this anti-Trump stuff that went on after this. I thought was an innocuous meeting in Helsinki.
Yeah, it was
That
kind of.
was not a big deal.
And I don't think it would have mattered what had happened. It would have come back as, he sided with Putin no matter what he said. I'm sure he would have had it. People are ant-fucking over language now, so they'll find something, no problem. And I do want to mention, if you want more insight into what we were talking about, when John says over there with Horowitz, that's DH Unplugged, Dvorak Horowitz Unplugged at dhunplugged.com. And then finally from Planet Money, China always knew that Trump would win.
There is a joke they tell in China about President Donald Trump's upset victory in 2016. And we learned about it from our intern, Echo Wang. She is from China. Hi, Echo.
Hi.
And the joke is about a province in China where they make flags. So, Echo, tell us, what is this joke?
Yes, it's a province called Zhejiang, and people there, they thought that they were the first in the world to know that Trump was going to win because they got way more flag orders from Trump campaign than from Clinton's campaign.
Oh, so they were making flags for political rallies, and they got so many more orders for Trump flags than Hillary flags, they knew he was going to win.
Yep.
Makes nothing but sense.
That's all it takes is just a little insight.
Buy
That's
some flags.
Yeah.
And
More
with that,
flags here.
I'd like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, John C., where the C stands for China's collapse, Dvorak.
Well, in the morning, you, Mr. Adam Curry. All this in the morning, all sea boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to our troll room and all associated trolls there. NoAgendaStream.com. Got about 900 trolls all lined up. Good. Thank you very much for being here with us. We appreciate the input. And also a hearty and hefty in the morning to Ryan M. Scott. I believe this was his first submission to the art generator, as we are always looking for.
He hit the ball. It was like one of those guys, as a rookie comes up to the major leagues and his first at bat, he hits a homer.
Yeah.
Happens.
Yeah. Where's your bat sound? You got that?
No, I don't have a bat. Oh, I do have a bat sound.
You got a bat
sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a home run.
Perfect. He brought us the album artwork for episode 1051, The Liberal World Order. And it was a throwback for those old enough to remember the Sex Pistols' Nevermind the Bollocks album cover. It was Trump in the UK, Anarchy in the UK. That was the takeoff. It had the colors. It had a great Trump face, finger in the air, grimacing. It was just a beautiful piece, and you're right, knocked it out of the park, and we appreciate that. It was spot on. Spot on. And so thank you, Ryan M. Scott, and all other artists who diligently help us out with an important part of the promotion of the show. It really makes a difference. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com. Thank you for that. And we're going to thank our executive and associate executive producers next in our Value for Value network. The way this has always worked is we started out years ago, almost 10 years ago, with a simple question. You went to the movies this weekend with a date, you had a drink, maybe some popcorn, $50. And you sat in a room for an hour and a half with your date and with a whole bunch of other people in the dark. Here, 3 hours, you're sitting with thousands of people. We're not quite sure how many. Could be tens of thousands, could be hundreds of thousands, who are sitting here with you in the light. And it's 3 hours minimum. What's it worth to you? And that's what is reflected in our donations, and we appreciate it.
So we have a few people to thank that we brought up the numbers because of we had such a poor showing in the last couple of shows, and we rallied the troops, and we got some results. We want to thank all these folks for helping. Starting with Don Tommaso di Toronto, who came in with $1,234.56, or 1234556.
Wow,
which is, we consider to be one of the finest donation numbers.
Yes, very fine.
He writes, greetings, Ludwig, and Leopold.
Hello.
It has come to my attention that there's a meetup in the nether regions of Toronto today.
Yep.
On a show day, nonetheless. What possibly can go wrong? So I will hopefully be imbibing with my fellow No Agenda producers while today's episode downloads to my tracking device. I try and that's a good one. I try and donate at least once a year, but I'm a little late for 2018, so I believe a de-douching might be in order.
Well, I'm happy to provide that.
You've been de-douched.
The lack of donations is not for lack of quality content. Step it up, you freeloaders. NJNK.
Thank you very much.
Don Tommaso.
Sir Don Tommaso di Toronto. Gracias. Thank you.
And then we coincidentally had Sir Onimus, the dog patch.
He's back. Yes.
With 800.
800? Wow.
800, yeah. He always has a handwritten note. Everything's pretty anonymous. Except I've been trying to do fingerprint analysis on the paper.
Have you used lemon juice and a candle?
Adam properly classified my last letter. A trusted traveler number reduces the chance of a Quad S designation, but does not move you to the TSA pre-check.
Aha! There we have proof.
No borders. Yeah, this is why there was a little kudos to you for your analysis. To no borders people, especially in San Francisco and Austin, please leave your apartment unlocked or give your apartment keys to a homeless family. Homelessness has separated far more children than ICE, and surrendering your personal border could be the solution to this crisis.
Yes, I agree.
Having worked with the homeless for many years, it won't take long for your apartment to be well known and very well used by these deserving yet separated families. They're all good people, and such action is exactly what you suggest we do as Americans. Please wish my baby brother Angelic Knight a happy birthday. I don't think we had this on the list.
No, I'm going to put it in now. Wait a minute. His brother is...
His baby brother's Angelic Knight.
So he's one that passed away?
I'm not sure. Oh, yes, I think so.
That's a clue as to who he is.
Angelic. Maybe. He offered some bog that may also be symbolic. He offered some bog advice. If you have bog, what is bog? B-O-G. If you have repeated weapons violations in your youth, don't write angry letters to the White House that imply threats.
This is a good tip.
It is. I'm writing it down. The Secret Service has no sense of humor and a long memory. Writing such letters to many administrations, Ford was his first. He told me last month the Secret Service no longer confirms his. Oh no, this guy's alive.
Yeah,
no longer confirms his location, proving he is not a threat. Or maybe they stopped because he is staying somewhere that prohibits sharps, in quotes. A lot of code.
I'm still at bog.
Onimus is still... I don't know what bog... Bog means something. I've heard it. Prohibits sharps, quote unquote. His advice... This is probably going out to... There's going to be something going on. His advice seems like common sense, but your show demonstrates how uncommon such sense is in our world. This is true. Mm-hmm. We do reflect a common sense that seems to be lacking in the mainstream media, that's for sure. Regardless, please wish him a happy birthday.
Back on grid?
You offer some back on grid advice. If you repeated weapons, maybe.
That's a troll room suggestion. I like it.
It's possible. NJNK as usual.
Yes, thank you very much, Anonymous of Dog Patch. It's not only always nice to see
such Slobovia, by the way.
Yes, such a great amount being gifted, but also we love your input and your analysis.
Yes, he travels a lot. The only thing I've been able to determine about the guy, he travels a lot. He's probably a Muslim. His wife is. And I believe he is, and he stays anonymous because I think he's a Saudi spy. No, I don't know.
Well, that's fine by me. I don't care. Bring the analysis on. I'll take it from any side.
Although he's probably American, so he might. Who knows?
And that's the last we heard of him.
Speculation by being so secretive.
Please, let's just stop. That's the last we'll hear of him. Otherwise, you're like.
I've had it with you, Dvorak. Sir Jimmy James of the Flatlanders, $380.83. 38 in there for a vote towards the value you provide me.
Thank you.
My apologies. It took me this long to do it. I wish I had more value to provide you two, but I hope this at least helps. No jingles, but karma for you both.
You've got karma.
Thank you.
North Tonawanda, Nadada in New York. North Tonawanda, New York. Marguerite Dries comes in with $350, nice round number, and she says, keep up the good work. Period.
All right.
Boom.
All right. Thank you. That's it.
Andrew Wang's Sir Tindeth, the Sun-Bleached Night in San Jose. $333.33. I was prompted to donate by John's recent recorder playing.
Yeah.
I'm also returning the fare for the house selling karma I received on episode 1023. I'm not sure if the donation gap is long enough for me to be considered a douchebag.
No, of course not.
No. The stuff really works. Thanks for the twice weekly brain cleaning. The show has been excellent lately. Keep up the good work. If you would, I'd like a request of dating karma and any Ayn Rand jingles.
Okay.
P.S. I want to go on record to clarify my roundtable request from my night. It was not boobs and stinky tofu, but boba.
Oh.
And stinky tofu, B-O-B-A.
What's boba?
I don't know, but I do. Look it up. I do appreciate your willingness to have kept us in such a strange request in the rotation for so long. Boobs forever.
I'm going to change it right now. Is it still on the list? I think it is. Yeah, you're right. Boobs and stinky. It's a boba. All right. I'm going to move that up for today as a rectification. Perfect. Yes, I have that jingle request for you.
Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. You've got karma.
Remember the days when I would talk about Ayn Rand before it became fashionable? Before it became fashionable?
Well, I don't know if it ever became fashionable.
Oh, yeah. Don't you remember there was a whole period in 2008 and all CEOs were handing out the book to anybody, all their employees?
Here's an interesting observation then. Now, this was going on in Silicon Valley. I remember John Doerr and people like that discussing Ayn Rand's book.
Yep.
Now, how did the Valley go from that to becoming solid Democrat Hillary supporters? I ask you.
That's a great question.
That is a great question.
It is. I don't know for the life of me. I'm sure it has something to do with money.
It has something to do with something in there. There's some reverse propaganda in that book. Some neuro-linguistic programming that goes into your brain when you read the book.
And it makes you a commie.
Well, it makes you a Hillary supporter. It's different. He's not a commie.
Yeah, well, I didn't become a Hillary supporter, so there's that.
Yet.
Onward.
Baronet Sir American Carnage in Tigard, Oregon, 33333. We got a lot of people up there. Just refer to me as Baronet Sir blah, 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 Sir American Carnage. Have let you guys down on Value for Value lately. Still loving the show. No, thank you for your courage.
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming back to work. Sir GQ, Baron of Maryland, 33333. ITM, gents, please use my title, Sir GQ, Baron of Maryland. Don't say my name or location. You two have been consistently outdoing yourselves with each show. Keep it up. The universe needs its best podcast. Please apply this towards my wife, Steph's damehood. Please play the following jingle. Please play the following jingles. Living the Mac and Cheese Life. Little Girl, Shut Up, Slave. Dvorak, Get Out of My Vagina. Karma.
Hold on a second.
And then he would like the Gitmo Nation National Anthem sometime after the show if you can, or whatever.
Okay.
He's got one more thing. Adam and James are douchebags.
Oh.
Douchebag.
And then one more.
Douchebag.
Now, I don't know about you saying "Get out of my vagina."
I never say it.
Wouldn't it be cool if I could find it?
Yes, no, it wasn't done. I think I don't know what he thinks. What he's thinking.
No, I don't have a JCD version of that. I don't know why.
This was never happened?
I guess.
Living the mac and cheese life.
Mac and cheese.
Shut up, slave! Get out of my vagina! Get out of my vagina! Get out of my vagina!
You've got karma.
It's better. I think that's funnier.
William Messing in Bainbridge Island, Washington. Cute little place, $333. Thank you, John Nat. I've been listening for 2 months, and this is my first donation. Excuse me. Give him a de-douching.
Okay.
You've been de-douched.
Keep up the good work, William Messing, Bainbridge Island. Ken Burkett in South Lake, Texas, $333. Once again, no jingles, no karma, discovering no agenda, and all the sightings and the show resources has immensely improved my life. I'm pleased to contribute to the executive producer level. It's a relative bargain compared to the cash retail price of a single RX medication, prescription medication, average brand name, 30-day supply of an oral solid tablet/capsule equals $386 as of June 2018. Bitching about something specific. Blue pills, probably. Michael Delosier, probably, in Maryville, Tennessee, 26627. He'll be our first associate executive producer for show 1052. Once again, he writes, it is Michael Delosier, rhymes with enclosure. Delosier. Rhymes with enclosure. Michael Delosier from Maryville. Merville. Let me get that right, too. Michael Delosier from Merville, Tennessee. Hey, Merville, where you going to, Bill?
Merville.
I'm heading to Merville. Okay, I'll meet you there. You're going to be at Louise's coffee shop? Yep.
Right, downtown Merville.
I'm pleased to contribute at the executive producer level, associate, actually. It's a relative bargain. Yeah, I'm on the wrong line. Once again, it's Michael Delosier. Although I'm still planning to start a sustaining donation, I want to show my sincere appreciation for the hard work and excellent deconstruction for episode 1051, since not many others seems to be stepping up to the plate. He's talking about the regular media. So here's my 266.27 donation, which Adam can tell you with his OTG phone spells comas. Because all the listeners must be in comas for not donating during these lean times. In fact, it also spells boobs.
Yeah.
Complete coincidence.
I'm sure it is. Coded message received, Agent Delosier. Thank you.
Mark McKenna in Waterbury, Connecticut, 25733 as a birthday list. Hi, Tim. Guys, been a while since my last donation. Can I get de-douched?
Yes, of course.
You've been de-douched.
I recently came into some overtime at work, and I'm sharing with you some of the spoils. 257 for my 57th birthday, and 33 is the magic number. My donation is my birthday present to myself, July 19th, a show day. It's Kismet. Kismet. I'm telling you, boom shakalaka. It's a birthday gift of sanity for all producers. I would like to say that the No Agenda community on the Twitter is the best.
Oh.
You are funny, very informed, and also incredibly informative. Thank you, my friends. I would appreciate this donation go towards the eventual damehood of a very special lady, future Dame Janet. Her realm chosen at a future date. One jingle, please. Can you see that juice?
Oh my gosh. Can you see that juice?
Thank you. And she's on the list.
Sir Otaku.
No, he's on the list. I'm sorry.
He's on the list.
Yeah, he's on the list, yes.
Sir Otaku, the Baron of the Northeast Texas and the Red River Valley in Louisville, 23456. Hoping I can take advantage of the yearly midsummer slumber and get an executive producer credit for less. But every time I do, you guys always end up with a big tide of donations. Your timing's off. Here's hoping my name is toward the bottom of the donation list. Can I get some JCD mac and cheese, Karma? 73's K5VZ.
All right. 73's Kilo 5 Alpha Charlie.
You slaves can get used to mac and cheese. Cheap macaroni and cheap cheddar melted together.
Mac and cheese.
You've got karma.
Anonymous in Piedmont, California, over here by me, 23438. The deconstruction was so great and showed 1051, I had to listen to it twice. Keep up the good work and please forgive my douchebaggery.
We do that with the de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
Let's go down to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Mark Mallon, $210.91 is a long note. ITM, my dudes, the donation puts me at knighthood. I hope he's on the list. Email accounting to follow. You can refer to me as Sir Malinowski. And I request crawfish and cane break, a delicious local beer at the Round Table.
Hold on a second. Crawfish.
Yes,
I'm familiar
or
with
crayfish, as they like to say.
Crayfish and...
Crayfish. You got some crayfish? Yeah, it's great with some crystal on it.
And what's the other one?
You got some corn on the cob? Cane break.
Cane breaks.
You mix the corn in there with the whole thing in a big not a clam bake, a crayfish thing, whatever they call it.
Crayfish?
Crayfish.
Mm-hmm.
I started listening in 2016. Personally, it was a rough year for me, and the ubiquitous disinformation coming from the election campaigns just made things worse. No agenda delivered a balanced perspective, a wealth of information, and a good time, and it does so to this day. I've been due to donate for a while, but the main impetus for this donation is the insane attacks No Agenda and its producers have recently been subject to on Twitter.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I haven't seen it.
Well, what's very interesting is, someone's...
Russians.
No, there's someone just talking crap, and I don't know. What happened is our producers jump in, and you go like, what's your problem? We don't care about you, because I think it is seen as social justice warriors somehow trying to go after our advertisers, which we don't have. So every reply to this douchebag's tweet is, "Oh, I'm going to up my donation."
This is the guy with had 2 followers. It's just some troll that comes in and out.
Oh yeah.
Nick Durrett responded to him. I chewed out Nick. I said, "Hey, check this guy's followers before you, because what you're doing is." You're giving him voice, because the way Twitter works, and so you don't want to do that. And I reported him and blocked him.
Oh, you reported him for what?
Targeting harassment.
Doesn't Twitter then say you can try blocking?
No, I always report, and then people should do that for targeted harassment, and then I block him after that. At the end, they ask you to block. I've been doing donations for a while. The impetus, the producer recently been subject on Twitter. I just said that this donation is primarily to spite whoever that troll is.
Hell yeah.
There you go. Paid off.
Mm-hmm.
Since I'm getting knighted, I want the most ridiculous jingle combo possible. Can I get someone is getting cornholed, Reverend Manning, fire in the butthole, and little girl, yay. Okay. This is a one-time offer. I would like to call out anyone who hasn't donated in the past year as a douchebag.
Oops.
Put up some value, you slackers.
Sorry.
And I get an F cancer for Twitter and all other social media platforms. Finally, Goat Karma. Thank you for your courage.
Yeah, it's interesting. He wasn't on the list for Knights, so I'm glad I checked this. Sir Malinowski. Okay, you are now hereby on the list.
Someone's getting cornholed today.
Sounds like a recipe for success to me.
Otherwise, you're going to have a flame coming out of your butthole. Preacher, you won't be able to sit down.
You've got karma.
I don't know what happened to the little girl, yay.
You had it. It was in there.
There it is. I got her.
Did it.
I got her. I found her again. Okay.
Aaron Heath, St. Agnes, Australia, South Australia. Gladly paying my annual dues, I humbly request travel karma for an upcoming journey to Gitmo Nation proper and jobs karma for all producers in need. And he's got a birthday coming up. I think he's on the list.
Yeah, 31 on the 26th. You got it.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You've got karma.
Lincoln Hammond comes in with 200. He's got no note. Let me just take a look on the squirrel mail.
On the squirrel mails? Yeah. To the squirrel mails. Squirrel mail. The squirrel mail. Squirrel mail.
No.
Nothing? I'm going to give him a karma then.
Oh, wait.
Oh,
Stop.
Stopped.
I put too many M's in. It's only one M.
Oh.
And squirrel mail has this habit of only going along with exact
matches. Yeah, that's why it's
still
squirrel.
nothing. Still nothing.
Nothing? Okay.
Thank you, Lincoln.
Give it karma. Always good.
You've got karma.
Guido Schmidt in Amsterdam.
Guido. That would be Guido.
Guido. Did I say what I say? Guido?
Guido. Yeah, it's Guido.
Yeah, Guido. Guido Schmidt. ITM, John and Adam, greetings from Amsterdam. I'd like to make a douchebag call out to my good friend RJ. Douchebag. Who I recently hit in the mouth. Please continue with keeping me sane and entertained with your top quality show.
That is always our goal, keeping you sane and entertained. Entertained is what we often say, as of today.
Marvin.
Hey, wait, this is a new category, entertainment.
Ooh.
Yeah. Entertainment. I'm writing that down, too.
Yeah, we need to write that down. I don't know, how do you spell intersane?
Yeah, S-A-N-E, yeah. Entertainment.
Huh. You've done it again. Martin N. Burkholder in Seneca Falls, New York, 200. And again, I'm going to go to Squirrel Mail, B-U-R-K, Holder. Get the jingle.
Of course, that's why I'm doing
Somebody should write it for us.
The more I sing it, the more likely it is to be sent back as a jingle.
Yeah. Squirrel Mail. And again, nothing. So let's give him a good karma and move along.
You've got karma.
On to Dmitry Rabinovich.
Any collusion?
In Moreland Hills, Ohio. O-H-I-O. Gentlemen, you really do produce the best podcast in the universe. I apologize it's taken me so long to arrive at my knighting ceremony, as I have been listening since the beginning of 2014.
No need to apologize, man. Thank you.
Hope to be listening to an unbelievably long donation segment at this time tomorrow. Well, you're getting one. Love and light to you both.
Love and
I'd
light.
like to be knighted as Sir Dingus. Sir Dingus of the Burning River.
Yeah.
Jeez.
You got it.
It's not, it sounds like you need to go see a doctor. Lastly, can you please shower me with money karma? By the way, now I read this note before. I already have a job, and you think that the two are related, but it's not. Big ups to you podfathers, Sir Dingus. But I think this is the first time anyone's actually asked just point blank for money karma.
I've heard job karma. Maybe we've had investment karma, but I agree. I think it's the first. And I don't know. I don't know if it works.
A lot of house karma.
But I don't know if that works.
We'll find out.
Yeah. Well, here we go.
It's pretty blatant.
I'm going to wind it up. Here we go.
You've got karma.
All right. May the karma
Let us
gods
know
be
what
good.
happens. Because that's a blatant request. I've never, it's like,
People usually want their health. They want their kids to graduate.
Get a new job or get promoted.
They want a goat.
I don't know about the goat.
What do you think goat karma is about?
Logan Scheid, I believe, S-H-A-I-D-E, in Cannon Air Force Base in New Mexico, $200. Thank you. The value of information you provide us slaves is priceless, but I only have these 2 hundos to give.
No, it's appreciated.
I hope this helps keep the electricity running for a little while longer. To all the freeloading hippy-dippy douchebags out there, get a job, then donate. If you've listened to for more than a year and haven't given a cent, you're a douche. Good luck to you guys and keep up the great work, NJNK. Logan of the Ryukyu Prefecture, formerly of Indiana.
And it's interesting.
Sir Logan Scheid. Then let's get that straight.
Actually, goes back. I just wanted to say something going back to Dimitri as well about that's how I think we gauge donation segments success more by how many people donate, not by the amounts. I mean, it's great if you have 10 people donating and those are all big numbers, of course, because then we can eat. That's fantastic. But the idea is to have everybody, here it comes, chipping in.
Chip in.
If everybody just chipped in a little bit, then it would be much. Now, we can't thank everybody at $3, but that's all it takes, really. We just want more people to donate. It's not so much about, I'm not going to complain, but more people donating is important.
Onward.
There you go.
Carwin Chambliss in Atlanta, Georgia, 200. These are all 200 guys, and we thank them, each and every one of them, for the associate executive producership acceptance. Your deconstruction analysis of the Struck, whatever the guy's Struck. What am I thinking?
I don't know.
The Struck congressional testimony was outstanding. And the information on Strzok's foreign upbringing was completely something that I've not seen anywhere else. It did show up finally.
It's around. Stuff. It's around now for sure.
Finally.
When Laura Loomer has it, it's out.
Keep up the good work, NJNK. Carwin Chambliss.
Hey, where was Q on all that? Did Q predict Strzok being an Iranian spy? Were there any breadcrumbs?
Yeah. Yeah, caused trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Nicole Kupon, Kupon. You can figure out how to pronounce it. It's in Lafayette, Indiana, $200. She's in Lafayette, Indiana. Hi, guys. My husband, Mike Kupon, needs a deep de-douching for his birthday.
All right. Hold on.
You've been de-douched.
There you go. That's a deepie.
Ooh, they got an echo on it. As he's a longtime listener, while he waits for his mothership to pick him up. Thanks, Nicole. Well, thank you, Nicole.
I'm going to do a little karma for that one as well. That's so kind of her to do that.
You've got karma.
Always nice when spouses donate in each other's name. There's something real loving about that.
It's very cute.
Bless you. And that wraps up our first donation segment for our executive producers and associate executive producers of episode 1052. Thank you very, very, very much. Really appreciate it. We eat another day, and we continue to do deconstruction so much that has to be done these days. It's all-consuming, I would say. Yeah, just look at the show notes. That's a part of the package deal. NAshownotes.com. Take a look at all the articles. Look at the search engine for it. Look at all the things you can do. Research papers, school papers. It's a tremendous resource. That's also what is a part of the No Agenda package. And know that our executive producers and associate executive producers are helping you as well. Thank you for that. And those are real credits. You can use them anywhere credits are accepted. We'll be thanking more people in our second donation segment. And we have another show coming up on Sunday. Remember us at
Dvorak.org/NA.
So go ahead. Take your knowledge and propagate the formula.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth. Order.
Yay. Couple of things I've got just to clean up the last segment. On some obscure broadcast, a radio, I believe, Louis Gohmert was spilling his guts about the Lisa Page closed session.
Apparently, she dropped a dime.
She said, for one thing, that whatever that was written, it wasn't up for interpretation. It was meant. So in other words, whatever Strzok said.
That it wasn't.
It was
just
literal.
It wasn't just lovebirds.
Well, no, but it was. We're talking about the stuff about stop the president was literal. It was not. Oh, that means the public. It means the public.
We, the royal we. Yep, exactly. Interesting.
But
well,
she also. But she also had some very unusual things to say that Gohmert was more than happy to give us, and I thought it was interesting.
Let me just get this for you.
But let me say this, and it goes with what the president's getting mocked for in Russia. I brought this out, and the mainstream media will not touch it. To me, Fox is the mainstream media, but that is, we know, there is no question, the intelligence community inspector general sent Chuck McCulloch, sent his investigator, Frank Rucker, who told Dean Chappelle and Peter Strzok that despite what some of the media was saying, a major foreign power had gotten every one of over 30,000 Hillary Clinton emails through her own server, everything that came and went except for 4, and Peter Strzok did nothing about it. And apparently he didn't tell Lisa what he had learned from the Intel Community IG, but they sat on that, and the president knows that this foreign entity, not Russia, had everything. You talk about playing in the election. Right. It wasn't just Russia. There were other major players, and Strzok did nothing. Lisa apparently didn't know, but
so you're saying another country involved, Congressman. I want to get to Lisa Page.
Yeah.
She's a Democrat. She doesn't like Trump, but she was different. In what way was she different and more forthcoming? What can you tell us you learned?
Well, she's a more contrite person, and but make no mistake, just like you said, Brian, she's a Democrat. She wanted Hillary to win, and she did not want Trump to win, and that's been obvious. There were times the FBI lawyers would be reaching for the button to mute her comment, and she would answer before that they could mute her comment.
Is she contradicting Peter Strzok in any way?
Not so much, but she has given us more insights to who was involved in what. Of course, when I hear Brennan or Clapper either say the kind of things they've been saying recently, then it tells me, wow, we must be getting close to them. Those guilty dogs are barking pretty loud.
Yeah. Those guilty dogs are barking.
Is she going to do a public hearing?
I don't think so.
How does that work?
You don't have to do a public hearing.
Well,
that's just a show hearing.
Well, we want a show.
Well, nobody wants to show if she's going to be saying weird stuff like she's saying.
Right. Maybe she's not insane enough.
She can't, stick to the script like
Strzok. Yeah.
Now, so he's implying that China has the 33,000 missing emails. That's the thing that this guy, because his network guy, pushes over.
I've heard this. I've heard this. Also, just as an aside,
makes sense.
There's no reporting on the GOP hack that the Russians did. If you want to just call someone out for doing it, there were emails and documents stolen, and there was a Donald Trump file that WikiLeaks published. It didn't get any traction. But there was a lot of exfiltration of data from the GOP servers. That's not mentioned anywhere. You'd think it would only strengthen the case.
You'd think. Now I have this last series of clips are short from PBS, and this is again on the same thing. This is a more. Let
me just say there was both and others was in the IG report, and there was also other servers mentioned. I think it might even said Republican, but no detail.
No, of course not.
No. Okay, sorry. Continue.
This is Judy Woodruff and that new black woman who's supposed to be I hate to say she's token, but I think ever since Eiffel died, they had to find somebody. She's not very good. She can't enunciate. She's not that presentable. I don't think she's talented.
Yeah, we heard her first tryout, which was very lame.
Yeah, she's still not handling the job. But she's a black woman who hates Trump. So
you're hired.
You can see it. So I'm going to play these.
Is she lesbian by any chance? Because that would really help your chances of getting the gig.
You can't really tell. At least I can't. Maybe you can. This is Judy and her friend, part 1.
She also said that the United States and the Trump administration takes election interference very seriously and that they're looking into this. That said, the president didn't back up and he didn't backtrack from what he said when he said both parties have issues with the way that Russia interfered in the election.
Too fast. Slow down.
He's not taking that back.
And finally, just quickly, how are Republicans handling this? I know some of them are giving the president still the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, it ends there.
Well, I stopped it there because they're giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
What doubt? What benefit? What are they saying? What are they talking about? They're giving the president the benefit of the doubt. What doubt?
I don't know. What doubt?
I don't know. I'm asking you. That's why I stopped it there.
I don't know.
Well, she says they're giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Well, you got to call Judy.
All right, let's go on to. Okay, now we go to part. Before you play part 2, I want you to play part 3, which is the kicker to part 2. But I just want you to have it in your mind.
Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee raising money. Yamiche Alcindor, the story continues. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay. Raising money.
They're raising money. They're leveraging Trump to raise money. Let's see the way Misha, I think's her name, Misha or something like that. Let's listen to part 2 of this and tell me what is wrong with this whole whatever she has to say.
Others have come out in a way they've never come out before and questioned and even criticized him.
Well, there are some Republicans like Senator Rand Paul and Congressman Collins who are coming out saying that that they agree with the president, that they have issue with the Mueller probe, that they question whether or not Russia interfered in the way that the intelligence community says they did. And then you have people like Newt Gingrich who said that he was happy that the president came out and clarified himself. And then you have Senator Lindsey Graham and you have Senator Richard Burr of North Carolina both saying that the president needs to be way more forceful on this. They're both Republicans. Republicans have not pushed back on this president very much, but these two people and other Republicans are saying the president needs to get this right and he needs to be more clear about this. The other thing that's happening, Democrats are using this to fundraise. Just the DCCC just today said that they raised just in June $15.2 million. James Comey is also coming out urging people to vote for Democrats. Of course, that's a former FBI director who President Trump fired. So Democrats are seeing this as a way to win in the midterms.
Yeah, they probably have meetings at Rob Reiner's house.
Now, what was wrong with what was the real mistake in there that she made? You can't remember it.
No, but I don't remember.
She says the Democrats are using this incident to raise money. In other words, all this Trump bashing is being used. Just
the media incident.
This current situation is what she's implying.
Mm-hmm.
And then she cites evidence of this assertion by saying that they've raised $15.2 million in June. Wasn't June before this incident by like a month?
Yeah. Huh.
So the Democrats are using this. Just last year they made 10. I mean, it's like,
yes, you're right.
Are you trying to buffalo me with this kind of thing? Is that your proof of concept that last month, which has nothing to do with the Russian incident, they raised a bunch of money? I thought it was very poorly done, very poor reporting, and the fact that the editors at the NewsHour can't catch stuff like that is beyond me.
Well, who knows? It's the summer. Maybe it's the interns running the show. But I'm going to give everyone on the Democratic side a gift. I'm going to help you all out. Donald Trump is broke, and I can prove it with a clip. He's broke. He has no money.
It's on the list.
And and I'm surprised. This is an unaired interview from 1980. So now we're talking. Shoot, man, is that now 38 years ago?
Yeah,
it is 38 years ago.
Good math.
Rona Barrett. Remember her?
Yes, Rona Barrett, who unfortunately had muscular dystrophy.
Yeah, and she
ruined her career. She was pretty good.
She was very good, and she clearly liked Donald Trump back in the day. I'm sure she would have hated him today. Just how it goes. And this is a little snippet from the end of the interview that proves Donald Trump is broke.
For some people, the ultimate goal in life has been becoming the President of the United States. Would you like to be the President of the United States?
I really don't believe I would, Ronna, but I would like to see somebody as the President who could do the job, and there are very capable people in this country.
Most people who are capable are not running for office. Most men are frightened of politics today.
It is a shame, isn't it?
Yes.
It is a shame. The most capable people are not necessarily running for political office, and that is a very sad commentary on the country. They had major corporations and they had this and that, but they are not running for political office.
Why wouldn't someone like yourself run for political office? You have all the money that you possibly need. You've accomplished a great deal, even though you are only 34. I know there's a lot of things that you possibly can do in the years ahead. Why wouldn't you dedicate yourself to public service?
Because I think it's a very mean life. I would love and I would dedicate my life to this country, but I see it as being a mean life, and I also see it as somebody with strong views and somebody with the kind of views that are maybe a little bit unpopular, which may be right, but may be unpopular, wouldn't necessarily have a chance of getting elected against somebody with no great brain but a big smile. And that's a sad commentary for the political process.
Television, in a strange way, has ruined that process, hasn't it?
It's hurt the process very much. I mean, the Abraham Lincolns of the world. Abraham Lincoln would probably not be electable today because of television. He was not a handsome man, and he did not smile at all. He would not be considered to be a prime candidate for the presidency, and that's a shame, isn't it?
But if all the men are like you, then when are we going to get somebody who might be good?
I don't know. I hope it's around the corner, but I don't know. I really don't know. What I would like to be involved in is trying to help choose somebody or working with a group of people whereby they put up a candidate who would be acceptable to be a presidential, to be the president. The country, if we had the one man, and it's really not that big a situation. People say, well, what could anybody do as president? The one man could turn this country around. The one proper president could turn this country around. I firmly believe that.
If you lost your fortune today, what would you do tomorrow?
Maybe I'd run for president. I don't know.
I would be using that at the top of the news.
I'm going to give you the clip of the day for that because it was pretty funny.
No, it was a long Shaggy Dog story, but
it was a Shaggy Dog, yeah, for sure. It's rare to get a clip of the day for Shaggy Dog.
Gray area. He slips through on a technicality. Oh man. Meanwhile, stuff heating up over in Euroland, where Margaretha Vestager showed up on the podium with a very colorful outfit. Vibrant colors. She is she's looking like a Brigitte Nielsen reincarnated. And here's what
I clipped. I just want to mention this because I don't have it for the show. I was going to use it in a future show, but I clipped the entire between 7.5 and 9 minute bit they did on the PBS NewsHour interviewing her.
Oh. Groovy.
Over the Google thing.
Yeah. Shall I play the Google thing?
Yeah, I don't have anything, but I do have some thoughts on it. And the problem is I didn't have time to there's stuff that she says in this interview that is just kind of amusing.
Yeah, and I want people to take note that we do a lot of that. There's stuff you put aside, you put it in a bin, it comes back. John, you're particularly good at it.
Yeah, you got that one Rona Barrett thing from the 80s.
Yeah, I've been keeping it aside. I've been keeping it on VHS since the 80s just for today.
Yeah.
That's the kind of work that goes into the show. Here's the and I'm glad you got that interview because I'm very curious. She seems like a very interesting woman. She says interesting things. Here's the report from Euronews.
The EU has slapped a record €4.34 billion fine on Google in an antitrust decision for using the dominance of its Android operating system to favour its own search engine. The EU's competition cell rejected criticism that the fine was too high.
Using our standard method, the fine is simply bigger because the effect of the infringement is bigger, and it's exactly a reflection of that, and that it's a very serious infringement. It's a very serious illegal behavior.
The Commission's decision to penalise the American tech giant comes at a time when EU-US trade relations are at a low. President Trump recently accused Commissioner Vestager of being a tax lady who really hates the USA. She hit back at claims there was any political motivation.
I do work with tax, and I am a woman, so this is 100% correct. I very much like the
Please
US.
clap.
This has nothing to do with how I feel. Nothing whatsoever. Just as well as enforcing competition law, well, we do it in the world, but we don't do it in a political context.
Google has 90 days to respond or face additional charges of up to 5% of its average daily worldwide revenue. But the company plans to appeal the decision.
We are concerned that today's decision will upset the careful balance of the Android ecosystem. We believe we have a strong case for the benefits that Android has brought to the European marketplace as well as globally. And this is why we intend to appeal.
The EU says Google has stifled competition among search engines by forcing smartphone makers to pre-install Google apps Chrome and Search. Consumer groups say that getting Google to stop doing this will help stimulate a greater variety of search engine products.
We can expect more diversity. So every time that you'll find Android phones, we can expect to have different search engines and browsers. For example, now there are out there other competitors like DuckDuckGo or Quant that currently find very, very difficult to enter the market because of these specific practices that Google is deploying through Android to have always Google search as default.
The EU's unprecedented fine and the threat that it could even be increased is being seen as a signal that they are ready to stand up to tech firms at a time of increased public concern about their dominance.
Man, this is such a deja vu for me with Microsoft and Internet Explorer. It's just, it's the same.
It's the same case.
Yeah.
It's the same bundling
same
thing.
papers.
It's exactly what Microsoft did, and they're not going to let Google do it. I think Microsoft's behind this, by the way.
It wouldn't surprise me.
But she makes some comments that are just like so baffling. It makes me think she doesn't know what she's talking about. Somebody's telling her what to say.
Oh, I don't think
really goes
any
because
idea
I'm
what
a
she's talking
defender of the American companies being gouged by the EU. But when the PBS News, of all people, the PBS NewsHour, a liberal operation over time since Gwen left, says at the opening of the piece, we tried to get a hold of someone from Google, and the press office wouldn't send anyone or talk to us, and they sent a videotape, which is the same tape that they played in that report of the head of Google guy with the Indian accent talking about competition. I think it's about time they start going after Google. I'm not going to defend them anymore. They have no press representation. They have a thing called press@google.com. You can write to them and maybe you get an answer back. Rarely. It keeps cropping up in news reports. They're either going to play ball or they're not. And apparently they're going to let the media hang out to dry. No, you guys are going to get yourself into nothing but more and more trouble because no one's going to come to your defense.
And nor should they. I'm sick of those guys.
Yeah, that's the problem. They're just developing they got a bad attitude.
Yeah.
And they're
not customer friendly
citizens. They're not good corporate citizens. They won't even send somebody to answer questions to the NewsHour.
Yeah.
PBS NewsHour. Are you kidding me?
They think the shit don't stink.
Exactly.
Yeah. Speaking of which.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
you're talking about the poop in San Francisco?
I have a poop report, and then I think you have a poop report. So I'll start with my poop report.
In San Francisco, the new mayor, London Breed, walked the streets today, the same streets she's vowed to clean up. Now, at one point, she and her staff walked right by a man who appears to be prepping a needle. You see it right there. Okay. Mayor Breed, who grew up in the city as well, plans to clean up San Francisco in part by opening the nation's first supervised injection site. That's where people can shoot up their own drugs indoors under supervision instead of on the streets.
You're a native of San Francisco. Is this the worst you've seen it?
I will say that there's more feces on the sidewalks than I've ever seen. Growing up here, that was something that wasn't the norm.
That you've ever seen?
Than I've ever seen, for sure. And that is a huge problem. And we're not just talking about from dogs. We're talking about from humans.
How can a city with some of the most expensive rent prices in the world also have neighborhoods that are being compared to actual slums because of the amount of human feces, trash, and needles everywhere.
There are a lot of people who have been pushed out of some of these places where you now have people paying these prices. About 70% of the people who are estimated to be homeless now in San Francisco were actually housed in San Francisco before they became homeless. We have to make sure that people who live here, sadly people who are homeless here, that they're also held accountable for taking care of our streets. This is our home.
What do you mean by that?
Like, for example, I met with service providers in District 5 in the Haight-Ashbury community. And one of the things that I said to them is, you work with many of these individuals. I work hard to make sure that your programs are funded for the purposes of trying to get these individuals help. And what I am asking you to do is work with your clients and ask them to at least have respect for the community, at least clean up after themselves and show respect to one another and people in the neighborhood.
Are you talking about harsher penalties?
I didn't express anything about a penalty. I just solicited their help in trying to talk to their clients who unfortunately were mostly responsible for the conditions of the streets.
And I love the term clients once again. Yes, they're clients.
Apparently, you're in a lockstep agreement with Rush Limbaugh.
Oh, well, hold on a second. I'm in agreement with him. Oh.
We don't do these sorts of clips on the show because they're just a competitive show. But I was listening to Limbaugh's show after the Helsinki thing to see what his take on the whole thing was and what he was going to come up with. I didn't think that much of it. But in the process, I had the recorder going and I caught his. And I had to cut a lot. I didn't realize how long he puts he loves silence. He has long pauses that you have to cut out. Takes forever. He's just like Rachel Maddow. It takes him forever to get to a point.
He's no Zephyr.
Sorry?
He's no Zephyr.
No Zephyr. He's no Zephyr. So he did this read of a newspaper article discussing the same thing, but he has his little his kind of sarcastic slant. I thought it was at least worth listening to him discuss the same thing you just had discussed from the KT. I think it was Channel 5 that you got that from, or 7, one of the three.
There's nothing in the story that makes you think that anything about this is the slightest bit strange. Mayor London Breed discusses her plan to clean up San Francisco in her first one-on-one interview since taking office. Yes, so she's just been elected. London Breed. I work hard to make sure your programs are funded for the purposes of trying to get these people help. And what I'm asking you to do is work with your clients and ask them to at least have respect for the community.
Is he going to go off on the clients thing? I hope so.
Talking about the clients are the homeless and the drug addicts and the people defecating in the streets.
Oh, great. I can get a gig.
And she's talking to social services groups. And she's asking to work with your clients, i.e. the homeless. Work with your clients. Please tell them to at least clean up after themselves and to show respect to one another and people in the neighborhood. This is the mayor talking to social services. You need to have meetings with your clients, and you need to tell them to start cleaning up after themselves and to show respect for one another. Mayor, don't you get that's what these people have lost all self-respect. I mean, anyway, it continues. When pressed about whether her plan calls for harsher penalties against those who litter or defecate on city streets, that's written as though it happens everywhere. Oh, yeah, people are littering everywhere, and they're crapping on the streets everywhere. And when pressed about whether her plan calls for harsher penalties for those who do that, the mayor said, I didn't express anything about a penalty. Instead, the mayor said she's encouraged nonprofits, the social services groups, to talk to their clients, who unfortunately were mostly responsible for the conditions of our street. The clients? Homeless are now clients of nonprofits. And then she said, I will say there is more feces on the sidewalks than I've ever seen growing up here. That is a huge problem. And we're not just talking about from dogs. We're talking about from humans.
Well, I'm glad that I can be equated with Rush Limbaugh then. That's
I was highly amused by that.
Not so sure how I feel about that. But
I don't blame you.
I've been on the client. This seems like he's just discovered this term clients, and I've been on it for months saying this is...
Yes, you have, but you're ahead of the curve on it. I'm not going to say that you weren't.
Just still picking the hits. But all I know is this is a job for one man.
Detective Dookie.
Detective Dookie.
Poop Police. SPU, Special Poopers Unit.
And where are our jingle guys, man? I mean, this is such an obvious one. Here, you got your lyric hat on?
I don't, no.
Put it on. Put your lyric hat on.
Okay, I got it on.
I left my poo.
Oh, there you go.
In San Francisco. Come on, guys. It's an easy one.
Now, we have to remember when we started covering this, we were one of the first shows that started covering the poop.
It was the plastic bags.
And it was the poop map.
Mm-hmm.
It was the plastic bags are part of it. And another contributor, when it really began, was when Twitter, located on Market Street, right in the center of Poop Central, got sick of all these bums around, and they said you got to get rid of these porta potties that were all over the place. And that's part of San Francisco. They have to go, figuring that if the porta potties went, then the homeless that were plaguing the office area around Twitter would go too.
Yeah. Then all of a sudden it was a problem.
They just started pooping on the street. Thank you, Twitter.
Yeah, and thank you to the elimination of plastic bags. I think that was really the tipping point where we saw that the homeless, the clients, we'll just call them clients from now on, that the clients, the street clients had no more bags to poop in. So that didn't help. And really, and I've been wanting to bring this up, and I see you have a clip, so it's good. It seems to me the biggest virtue signaling social justice warrior bullcrap we have ever seen has been taking place right in front of our eyes for the past 2 months. This insane banning based upon one sea turtle with a straw up his nose.
Exactly.
We're banning straws, and it's every company now has to come out and say, "Oh, yeah, we're not going to use straws either." Starbucks, they're making a sippy cup, which is more plastic than the straw ever was. But I guess it's the horrible shape of the straw that is shoving straws into sea turtles' noses everywhere. And it's a part of the huge plastic flotilla on the ocean that no one can ever seem to get a real photo of. That actually is.
Right, that phony baloney island out in the middle of the Pacific.
That is probably more fishing gear than anything. But what is this insanity? I tried to find out if there was someone behind it. Is it the paper straw industry? It seems to me that based upon that,
the straw industry could do worse than do this. This would be a great marketing.
I don't think
marketing genius.
Well, I don't know who did it, but it started with the sea turtle video, and we are losing straws thanks to one viral video. Whether that was intentionally launched or not, it's a fantastic campaign. Can I play your clip here? I have no idea what it is.
Well, I have to set it up.
Okay.
There's a element in this clip, which is what got me to clip it, that is another one of these things where somebody says something that doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like the woman that was on PBS is saying, the Democrats are making hay from this. And then she cites something that before it happened. And you can play it.
San Francisco could also be the next big city to ban plastic straws. Environmentalists and city leaders held a rally at City Hall in support of the ban. One report says 1 million plastic straws are used in San Francisco alone every day. Environmental groups say that contributes to the tons of plastic that ends up as litter on the ground and in the ocean. However, advocates for the disabled say there should be some exceptions to the ban.
We're really much about protecting the environment, but there are a lot of people with disabilities that rely on those straws.
He says for people who don't have the full use of their hands, those flexible
Yeah,
plastic
hell yeah.
straws are the only ones that really work.
Screw
He
you.
says restaurants and bars need to be educated about that and keep a supply available for those customers who truly need them. Several businesses we spoke with say they're also in favor of cutting back on the use of plastic straws. They also say the increased cost would likely be passed on to customers.
Oh, it's like a defibrillator now. Oh, you got to have some straws, some backup straws. Hey, I got an idea. I bet you we can do this. I want to launch our own viral campaign. It'll take some work from one or more of our producers. And I think the next thing to go should be the swizzle stick.
Oh, you're already behind the curve on that.
Really? Someone's already grabbed the swizzle stick?
Yeah, so that's part of the San Francisco law. The swizzle stick has to be wood.
Well, we need a video of a fish with a swizzle stick in his eye. Come on, we can get swizzle stick band going.
It's already done. You're done. This is no good.
Well, let's pick another plastic product.
Well, the first thing, a couple of things that were in that report. The one thing that stood out to me was somehow going from plastic to paper. By the way, what kind of straws were there before there was plastic?
Paper.
Somehow to go from plastic to paper is going to cost more. Why? It's paper.
I don't know. Maybe it costs more.
Because it's bull crap. That's what makes me think the paper straw people have got something to do with this. You could make paper straws that are just as good as plastic. When I was a kid, all the straws I ever used were paper. Just plastic straws a new phenomenon.
Yeah, but your Coke sticks to the inside of it. It's not really useful.
Well, that could be what it is then.
I don't even know if that's true. But
it might be.
Could be. What about all those drug addicts? I mean,
but this bull crap that it would be more expensive. I think you're right. This thing is something of a red herring, but I think it is the paper straw people.
I think we should go after
paper
rubber
straws. Are just as good as plastic straws. They've got a slight coating of wax on them to keep them from getting
that. Yeah, that's what keeps it from sticking.
Yeah, the wax the cocaine would stick on the wax.
This is a travesty.
If you're holding it for a while, but it's just a slight melting point.
What will Hollywood do?
You'd have to slice open the paper straw, slice it open, and then spread it open, and then scrape out all the coke that is stuck on the inside of it, and then you have to re-sniff it. It's too much work.
The troll room is pointing to a video that this was some 10-year-old who launched the campaign. It doesn't get any better. You get a turtle with a straw through his nose. You get a 10-year-old kid going, ah! Nah, done. I mean, you're done. That's all you need. Throw in some SJWs.
It worked for kale. It'll work for these straws. These plastic straws. If I was in the business of making these plastic straws, I'd be beside myself or I'd be retooling for paper immediately because you're toast.
Yeah. Totally toast.
Yeah.
That's the mob, man. The mob is still powerful. Because there's no analysis of it. Every story is just, turtle. That's all I ever hear is the turtle, man. Poor turtle. Aw. Jeez. Then, before we take a break, something I never realized about the 23andMe stuff and these DNA tests, that I think it was Steck who sent me an article about this. I'm against it. I think it's a bad idea. I also don't want to know what some science thinks I need. I'll just go with the flow. That's just me personally. Maybe I'm anti-science in that manner, but
anti-science.
222. Nice. Do you know what NPE stands for?
Northwest Protective of the. I don't know. I have no idea.
No, it stands for Not Parent Expected. And as it turns out,
I've never heard that one.
Yes, it's something that if you receive it on your DNA report. And this story, the one story I have here is from Ancestry DNA report. It means that one of your parents is not your parent. And I don't have FaceBag anymore, but there is apparently a FaceBag group that has thousands of people whose lives were just turned upside down overnight by this stupid test. And it turns out that one of your parents, and they often know which one, is not your parent. And I think it creates some tension. And it's really quite sad. You read these stories, man, people just devastated by it. So it's not without risk. Emotional risk.
Well, how did they know about the parents? How would you know it's not your parents? What you got your result? I send a thing and I get my results. It says you got this, you got that, you got this. How's it going to know one of my parents was not my parent? I'm pretty sure my mother was, and maybe the dad is somebody else. Is that what it's suggesting? And how would they know that? Because they don't have the results from my dad.
If you read the article, which I could skim it right quickly now and tell you. For instance, if you're mixed, just to give you if you're a mixed color, but you don't have any, John, I can't answer it without reading you verbatim from the article. I don't know where it is. But there's a reason why there's thousands of people in a group like this. One of these tests or multiple of these tests are able to tell you that one of your parents is not yours.
From the test alone,
I don't have an answer for that, but I think you should just take it from me that these groups exist and people are discovering these things.
Groups exist. It's just that I'm just
I don't have an answer. You're questioning this.
Yeah, I'm questioning it from a scientific perspective.
Okay, for her, I'll read this to you. For her part, Sinclair, that's the woman in this article, thought she was inquiring about a technical glitch. Her brother, who along with 3 other siblings had gifted her the DNA test for her birthday, wasn't showing up right in her family tree. Okay. So they did have multiple family members, which I'm sure is something people do. The families all, will do this together.
Okay, I got it.
Right? Okay, so there you go. That's how it works. Anyway, I just thought it would be a handy tip for people who are considering this to know that it's not without risk. Or don't get your other family members involved. That may be a better way to go. Just don't do it.
Well, it just goes into the national database. You might as well just put why don't you get tattoos all over your body that identify you for sure?
Yeah, a nice QR code.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh, yeah, that'd be fab.
Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
All right, well, we give a few people to thank. Starting with Anonymous with $150.20. He says, "No name, please. I have nothing else of value to say here." Good for you. David Culpa, meanwhile, in Boynton Beach, Florida, $150. For his wife, going towards her damehood, Crystal Culpa, who recently found this great podcast. Will be donating more in the future. I hope she doesn't get mad. Love you guys, David.
Yeah, same here.
We get it. Mark Menzik, $135.18 from Arvada, Colorado. Needs a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
Sir Josh Mandel in Greenville, South Carolina, 12345. Nothing like the No Agenda show, he says. Jonathan Jobin, I think, in North Las Vegas, 12345.
And he wants to de-douche.
You've been de-douched.
We got the word out. Get some de-douching out of the way. Sir Richard Unterberger, Sir Chard of the Tiny Cars in Emmaus, Pennsylvania, 10520. And also Chris Newbold, 10520 in Portland, Oregon. This is first donation. And he didn't get the de-douching he wanted.
You've been de-douched.
Got it now.
Yeah, meanwhile, Jeffrey Alicia in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, $100.01, needs a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
This is nice. These are all new people. Thank you very much.
Means you're going to get carpal tunnel syndrome. David Swanson in Eugene, Oregon. Was that? No. He's in Eugene, Oregon. An Oregonian.
He's a bus driver.
Yeah. And he says,
go ahead.
last Sunday's coverage of the Strzok hearing was phenomenal. David Timmerman in Charlottesville, Virginia, 100. Kelly Flanagan.
Oh, wait. David Timmerman wants a de-douching, first-time donation.
You've been de-douched.
Kelly Flanagan in Indian Wells, California, $100. Dame Patricia Worthington in Miami down there. She says, I appreciate the education I get from you guys every single day.
Oh, thank you.
Sir Sean, $100, parts unknown. Sir Chris Gray of the Isle of Wight in Covington, Louisiana.
88.
88. Michael G. Popoff in Lakewood, Washington. Now, he sent a check in and he had a note, and I believe the note should be read.
Okay.
Because it's a night in waiting. He's a knight in waiting. He's going to be knighted today with a crazy reverse name. I've been a listener since 2010. John, I followed you since Tech TV, and I've enjoyed your PC Mag columns for just as long. I found out about the show from Cranky Geeks. I don't know how that works. Oh, I think it's when I was doing Cranky Geeks for Mevio. After I started listening, it was like a breath of fresh air. Your deconstruction of the media is spot on. Please continue for as long as possible. We need you around until Jesus comes back.
I don't know if we can do it that long.
It may take a while. I am a mail carrier in Los Angeles County.
We love our mail
carriers. I appreciate that you guys are the only ones that have talked about the real reasons the U.S. Postal Service has had financial difficulties. The bill that did this was the Postal Accountability and Enhancement Act, which was passed in 2006.
Which made the Postal Service pre-fund their pension plan to the tune of, what, $50 billion or something?
Well, yeah, for the next 20 years, too. It's not like just for a week.
Right, which is then said, oh, they're struggling. Yeah. I like the Postal Service. I think it's very good.
I use it.
I know you do.
Hopefully this will make it by July 12th, which is my birthday. I will be 36. I'd like you to play. I think he's on the list. Dr. Kiki, It Was Worth It, and the song about homeless people pooping in the street. We can put that at the end, I think.
If I knew which song.
The people pooping in the street. There's another one. Martha and the Vandellas. Pooping in the street.
Pooping in the street. Pooping in the streets. Yeah. So easy.
I'd also like to ask for a jobs karma for my beautiful wife, Michelle. She is a neonatal nurse looking for a day position. I'd like to ask for karma on my path to become a dude named Ben. We'll just give him a karma and for the wife and him being a dude named Ben. Anyway, that's Michael Popov.
You've got
karma. In the streets.
That's right.
Werner Flipson.
Our No Agenda Wi-Fi night.
The No Agenda Wi-Fi night. Dwayne Mel 8008 along with we need a jingle for the.
I'm sorry. I'm sleeping on the job as usual. We have it from Melanchthon?
Yeah, something.
Yes, we do. I'm sorry. Of course. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present the Grand Duke of the Pacific Northwest, Sir Dwayne Melanchthon. Ladies and gentlemen, I present the Grand Duke of the Pacific Northwest, Sir Dwayne Melanchthon.
Double dose. I don't know what that's about. Yo.
808, he's in Tigard, along with his buddy higher up on the thing. Tigard 8008. He's got some show notes that we should read from the Federalist. Some notes for us. Peter Strokes.
Yeah.
Peter Strokes in Maastricht.
Strooks, I think it was Strooks.
In Maastricht.
Yes, boob.
8008. Also Herb Lamb. Sir Herb Lamb, 8008. And Keith Gibson, 8008 in Holly Springs, Georgia. William O'Donovan, 8008. Rose Chavez, 8008. What is this?
Wait, Rose Chavez. I'd like a de-douching. De-douching.
You've been de-douched.
Thank you. Good to have you here.
Did I put boob? I put a boob on there. That's right.
You did.
You did. I can't remember what it was on. It was one of the
good placement of the boob. Apparently,
everyone picked up on it this time. I've done it before, and I get nothing. Tim White, Lee's Summit, Missouri. Boob. Sir Gabe in San Francisco, California. Boob. Sir Greg of Parts Unknown. Boob. Sean O'Neill in Royal Oak, Michigan.
Boob.
He needs another de-douching for him.
You've been de-douched.
And he's got the boob donation. Okay, onward. Kyle Blank, 7777 in Houston, Texas. Kevin Webb in Carrollton, Texas, $75. Happy birthday and job karma. My brother Chris, we'll put that at the end. Aaron Newberry in Aurora, Colorado, 7333. Dame Dane, $72.
Aaron wanted to shout out to his smoking hot wife, Christy, so I'll do that. Done.
Hey, Christy. Sir Mid-20, the Soky Knight, S-O-K-Y, 7175. Sir Rick in Arlington, Washington, 6996. Srini
Wait, he has a call out. Oh, Serini. Yeah, Serini has a call out. Sorry.
Yeah. Serini Murty in Culpeper, Virginia, 6969 as a call out. Donor at one time, then boner, hoping to be a regular donor. Some business karma would be of help. Put that at the end. And a douchebag call out to that cheating partner of mine. Douchebag. Jeez.
Screwed me for so long. I've had that happen. That sucks.
Sir Chris James in Sturgis, Michigan, 6238. David Groff in Wyoming, Ohio. Fibonacci donation of 6179.
Yes. Nice number.
Colin Ayers in Blissfield, Michigan. Job karma at the end. Sir John, Knight of the St. Patrick Patron Saint of Engineers in Heber Springs, Arkansas. Thank you for your courage.
Small boob?
Small boob. Matthew Olmstead, 60. Doing my part.
Thank you.
Matthew Scott, Willard, Missouri, 5611. Relationships karma at the end. John Cox in Waterford, Pennsylvania, 5555. Cameron Beck, also 5555, and he's in Auchenflower, Queensland, Australia.
Oh, hello.
We said for him, we need some health cover for his dad who's going to the hospital next week.
He says he canceled his Audible membership as it could not compete with the value that No Agenda brings. Thank you.
John Cox up above him says, by the way, he says, P.S. Adam, we need more crackpot.
Okay.
Sir Peep Slayer, 5555. Wants a douchebag to step up. Nicholas Farakis, 5510, double nickels on the dime.
And he says, here, life-saving tip. Thank you, Adam, for his tip about the 6-month expiration on using a passport to get back into the country. This is what stopped me from going to the Netherlands. He saved me getting rejected on my travel day and wasting my time at the passport office.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, you got to remember that. Everyone does. Jeffrey Schwab in Olympia. You know, here's the thing. Is a passport, the passport's got a date. It expires.
You're preaching to the choir.
It expires on October 10th, let's say.
Yep.
That's when it expires. It doesn't expire 6 months in advance.
3 months.
If that's the case, why don't they change the date?
Yeah, good luck with that.
What's the point of a date that doesn't work? What's the point of the wrong date?
I've been through this.
The passport's no good.
This. You're doing
6 months.
You're doing my rant for me. It's done. It's over. It's law. Get over it.
Yeah. Jeffrey Schwab in Olympia, Washington. Stay woke. 73's NW7J.
73's.
Miguel Lopez in Flanders, New Jersey. John, your newsletters always crack me up. 5510. Baron Ryan Benson in Tampa Bay, Florida. 5510. The newsletters are meant to be hilarious at the end. Sir Donald Earl of Mills, 5510. Louis Pipkin, 5510. Dean Roker, 5510. $55 from Marcus Muller. Sir Nicholas, 55. Alexander Demon or Diamond in Abbotsford, BC, Canada.
I need to de-douche it.
You've been de-douched.
Eric Bird in Baltimore, Maryland, 5222. Jonathan Fedoruk in Santa Ana, California, 5183. We rock. Sir Torielata. Okay, let's get Torielata. I'm guessing.
Torielta.
5110. He's in Glen Ellen. He's Sir Torielata. Hocus Locus, 5038. Sorry, I'm so broke. David Courbanu.
No, wait, you missed William.
What?
William Welburn.
Oh, I missed Welburn. Oh, William Welburn, 5033. David Courbanu, 5033.
Yes, and he did an end of show mix for us. So
Alexander Beatty, 5009. Mark Churich in Brentwood, Tennessee. In Brentwood, Tennessee, 5005. Andrew Benz in Imperial, California, 5005. George Wuchet in Universal City, Texas, 50. The following people are all $50 donors, name and location. Micah Miller, Bethel, Pennsylvania. John Camp, Antlers, Oklahoma. Tyler in Charlotte, South Carolina. Been a listener for many years. Thomas Dillon in Laverne, California. Sorry. Eric Mackey, Maki, in Lawrenceville, Georgia, 50. Harris Frankel, Russ Owen, Derek Bretz in Chesterton, Indiana. Joel Daroon in Savannah, Georgia. Robert Vogel in Franklin, North Carolina. Dalut Zanguzen. That's what it looks like.
Zanguzen.
Yeah, Zanguzen in Bellevue, Washington. Owen and Kim Vacheron in Foxborough, Massachusetts. In the morning, this donation is coming all the way from the heartland of hysteria. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, really. Oh.
Christopher Herring, Sam Godwin in San Jose. Sophia Pandelia, probably in San Jose. Sir John the Brewer down there in Louisiana. He's being? I guess he's getting upgraded or knighted.
Yeah, Baron.
Oh, it's a Baron today, right?
And he says, "For my money, doesn't get any better than when used to fight over fornicating for Micah." So I sent an extra $50 over my monthly anonymous donation to ensure you keep it up. Oh, thank you very much. And he becomes a Baron. He would henceforth like to be known as Sir John the Brewer, Baron of the Bay Down.
Yeah. Christopher Howell, Frederick, Maryland. Sean Regalado in Burlington, Vermont. David Eckersley, 50. Dennis Price in Pine Grove, California. Okay, he says, I donate once a year. You guys need the money now. Wesley Wilkerson in Houma, Louisiana. I'm sure there's some weird pronunciation of that. Nick Barnes, Chris Davidson, Alex Simkus in Burien, Washington. Scott Lavender in Montgomery, Texas. Sir Andrew Gardner. Jimmy M. Burdett, Andrew Gusick, Anonymous, and last but not least, Sir Jerry Wingenroth in Saugus.
Wow. Now that's a nice list.
Yeah, it's a nice list.
That's a great list.
And we want to thank these folks for pitching in and chipping in.
It doesn't work, John. Don't use this
chipping in.
Don't use this pitching in, chipping in thing. Thank you very, very much. Also, I want to thank everyone who came in under $50. And I picked two notes out of the bag here. Hello, my name is Sam Garcia. I'm an adult under 40 living in the Sunshine State of Florida, working as an EMT slave, helping people in times of crisis and emergency. I've been listening to the No Agenda show since episode 1018, and the guilt of not contributing to the value for value system has driven me to become a sustainer at the cool $33.33 a month donation. Thank you. I'm able to listen to the show on the way to and from work, and if I didn't have the show to listen to, I'd be listening to some real crackpot stuff. You and John...
You mean the mainstream media?
I guess. You and John are able to have deep conversations while making it entertaining and not making me scratch my head trying to pull it all together. No matter what John says about the OTG segment, please keep it going. I love all the info. Can't wait for my Verizon plan to end so I can get a T-Mobile or Metro PCS and get myself a Nokia E71. I noticed you talking about the Kyocera rugged cell phone last episode, or the one before, and I wanted to mention this is the exact phone my ambulance company uses for its 24-hour operations. See?
Yeah, it's a pro.
Yeah.
It's a pro phone.
And then finally says, speaking of radios, and he goes on how they use it. I've always had an interest in radio. Always thought I'd love to be in the military, or to have to be in the military or in a field that actually used them to be hands-on with them. But when I heard about the wonderful world of amateur professional ham radio on the No Agenda show, I was blown away with the opportunities and knowledge on the subject. I would just like to say that you and John are doing a fantastic job. Wish I could give more. I'll start saving my money for an associate executive producership. Yes, being a ham is very good for you. It's good for your brains. It's good for your knowledge base. It's good information to have, and you need a couple radios in your life because you never know, and hams will save the world. And then a second one from Joanna. Right. A second note from Joanna Lynn. Hi, Adam. The love of my life was distraught this week at the lack of support coming in. Your show has become the backbone of our sanity here in New York, deep in Dementia B territory. We have even converted my dad into a crackpot and buzzkill devotee.
Good.
Anyway, we love you. My fiance is already donating weekly, and now I am too. Keep fighting the good fight. We appreciate you both. Best from Joanna Lynn. Very nice. And there's hundreds of notes like that, and we really appreciate it because that's what gets us up in the morning to do this for you. And the donations like this really makes the value for value system sing. Thank you. It's appreciated. And a lot of karmas as requested.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma. You've got karma.
And quite the list today. We got some nights coming up and even some title changes. But first, our birthdays. Michael Popoff celebrated on July 12th, so belated to him. Aaron Heath turns 31 on July 26th. Mark McKenna celebrating 57 trips around the sun today. Dame Dane, 51 on the July 21st. Kevin Webb says happy birthday to his brother Chris Webb. Excuse me. Nicole Coupon says happy birthday to her husband Mike, and Pseudonymous of Dog Patches happy birthday to Angelic Knight, and we say happy birthday to everybody on the list and those far and beyond not listed from everybody here at the No Agenda Show. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nights to handle today who will be joining the round table. Blades at the ready. Blades at the ready.
Somebody move my sword. Hold on a second. It's over by the phone. All right. I got it. Jeez, who did that?
All right, up on the podium, we need Stephen Mallon, Louis Pitkin, Dmitry Rabinovich, Michael Popoff, and Mark Mallon. Interesting. Now we have two of those. No, that can't be right. It's Mark or... Doesn't matter. Here we go. Gentlemen, I'm very proud to pronounce the Sir Malinowski, Sir Pitkin of the Space Coast, Sir Dingus of the Burning River, and Sir Leacham Popoff. For you, we have the round table. We've got it all. We've got hookers and blow. We've got Rent Boys and Chardonnay. We've got crawfish and cane breaks, boba and stinky tofu, Cooper's Pale Ale and Kangabangers, and somewhere we've got mutton and meat. It's just a bevy of food and alcohol here at the round table.
It should be Foff Pop.
Oh, was it Foff Pop? I'm sorry.
It's backwards. His name's spelled backwards.
Oh, Foff Pop. It was confusing on the list. Thank you for correcting. Foff Pop. My goodness. It's quite the round table, all these guys joining. And... Hold on. We have two title changes. Sir John the Brewer now becomes Baron of the Bay, and Sir Carice becomes a baronet, and we congratulate both of you and thank you for your contributions to the No Agenda Show. Some call it, by its true name, the best podcast in the universe, and we are humble. I do have one last segment of clips. We're running a little long. The affiliate should take note. But there was a rather interesting interview with AOC by, what's her face, from the NewsHour, Amy Goodman. Did you happen to see this?
Amy Goodman?
Yeah. She did an interview with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
She's not on the NewsHour. She's on Democracy Now.
Democracy Now, I'm sorry. It's your beat. That's why I was wondering if you knew what it was.
No, but that'd be a perfect interview.
Yes, and I pulled, well, actually, yes, I pulled 3 clips from it, and it was a dual interview on stage in a theater with an audience.
Oh, yeah, she likes to do those.
I didn't know she did these. It's an interesting format, and even more interesting, she had, I think it was a mayor of some town in Spain. She's the first socialist mayor. So half of it was in Spanish with a translator. And, of course, Alejandria, she broke out some Spanish. And, so that was all a very good look. But I did want to play these 3 clips. The first 2, because from Democracy Now, any serious journalist, just this interview itself, I found the leading the witness in this case to be of a level that is just unheard of.
That's what she does best.
Amy is leading the witness.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said. That's what she does best.
And I'm going to let her lead the witness, and then let's all listen to the future of the Democratic Party speak, which I think is still the plan. Is she not the future of the Democratic Party? Is that not what the chairman of the Democratic Party said?
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yes, because it'll be fun.
But talk about what is happening in this country today around immigration. Just hours before we're meeting now, a judge has ruled that families who have just reunited with their children, who Trump had snatched from them in the last weeks.
Did it. Trump did it.
I mean, do you hear that? Trump had, I know she's speaking metaphorically, but that's not journalistic. Trump had snatched them.
Who have just reunited with their children, who Trump had snatched from them in the last weeks, cannot be deported. The judge has put a halt on deportations. Why did you go to the border, and what do you think needs to happen?
Well, I went to the border because our nation is in a moral crisis, and there is no convenient time for us to stand up
and virtue signal
against human rights violations. And every day that we allow these 2,000 children that have been ripped from their parents, which is an internationally recognized human rights violation.
I would beg to differ on that. She says these children who were ripped from her parents, ripped like a Band-Aid, that separating them is an internationally recognized crime against humanity at the border?
No, well, it wasn't crime against humanity, but it was some sort of crime.
She said crime against humanity.
No, she didn't. Go back.
Okay.
These 2,000 children that have been ripped from their parents, which is an internationally recognized human rights violation.
I'm sorry, human rights violation. You're right. She said it differently, but I think it's the same. I don't know. I would like a Snopes report on that. I would like to know.
Fact check false. This is being done in our name. This is being done in representation of us as United States citizens. Every day that we allow the continued violation of those children's rights is the day that I believe the moral character of the United States is at stake. So for me, it wasn't a question of whether I should go down there. If we have to have a rapid response. And I think every day that we go on...
What has she got to do with it?
Oh, well, wait.
She's going down
there? That's going to be apparent. I know your standpoint. These clips are for you. Lay back.
To have a rapid response. And I think every day that we go on, especially a day when something that heinous happens, we have to occupy all of it. We need to occupy every airport. We need to occupy every border. We need to occupy every ICE office until those kids are back with their parents, period.
Okay. I like this. I like that Occupy is coming back. That's very interesting. We'll have some more mic check. Now,
mic check.
This is a clip for you that comes to the point you wanted to make. because you'll hear, once again, leading the witness. I just want to check. What did Trump say about Mexicans when he first announced his presidency?
He said a lot of them are rapists.
Are you sure about that?
Well, something like that.
Okay. What did he say the president called them most recently?
Fine people.
No. Animals, remember? He called them animals.
No, I don't remember the animals thing.
Yeah, well, no, because he said it about MS-13.
Oh, yeah, MS-13 animals, yeah,
right.
Definitely.
And that's recognized that he said that about MS-13. I think even the mainstream recognized that?
Yeah. I think so.
When President Trump ran for the presidency, the first day he talked about Mexicans as rapists. Now he's talking about Mexicans as animals. Your response to President Trump?
Yeah, my response is that's not what he said.
This policy that has been stopped by
now listen to this
judges, but now he is trying to control the Supreme Court and the decisions that would go to that level.
Well, I think that the best way that we respond to what can widely be recognized, I think, as rising fascism and his policies of it, is that we have to go into ourselves and into our communities and mobilize ourselves. You know, we need to be ready when the next time, or if this happens again, we need to be ready to drop everything and go straight to LaGuardia Airport. We need to be ready to drop everything and go straight to our local ICE agency. Because this is not someone that is going to be capable of being convinced through a nice conversation and a chat over coffee, or even an excoriation on live television. This can only be blocked through our own action.
Now, this has particular meaning, especially for a global audience, that you have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez saying, go to LaGuardia Airport, because she actually represents LaGuardia Airport.
That's my constituent. Come on down.
This is where you jump in.
Well, first of all, I'd ask, why not go to Kennedy? It's really the international airport. That's the one that would be more applicable. I don't know what to say.
She doesn't represent anything yet.
Oh, no. Ha! Oh, damn it, you're right.
Yeah, I cut that for you, okay?
Yeah. No, she's not elected to anything, so she doesn't represent anything.
But
she's just a candidate.
Listen to what Amy says.
Well, Amy's convinced she's already won. I think all the Democrats have all thought this.
Yeah, well, just listen.
Particular meaning, especially for a global audience, that you have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez saying, go to LaGuardia Airport, because she actually represents LaGuardia Airport.
And she's, yes, I do.
Come on down.
Oh, come on down. I represent it.
Yeah, that is pathetic. You're right. It's absolutely pathetic. She's already won the election. I wish somebody would go and run against her, some Republican, and just kill her.
You know that because of the way the election
votes, of course.
the way the election laws are written, that he'll say Crowley stays on the ballot. Did you know that?
Oh yeah, Crowley does stay on the ballot.
So not that it means anything.
Well, he's still running. He says he's running against her as an independent. He could beat her.
Maybe. I don't know.
If she doesn't shut up.
Well, I hope she wins. I would love to see her. I mean,
I actually hope she loses, because I think it would be funnier.
No.
Yeah.
Well, the show wins either way then.
The show wins under all circumstances.
Yeah.
The thing that gets me, there was something she said in there. Oh, she says a number of things. It's just kind of, well, how come she didn't, when Amy, the great journalist Amy Goodman, when Amy said that Trump called Mexicans animals, when, as you point out, it was referring specifically to MS-13.
Yeah, why didn't she say we're going to get rid of MS-13?
By the way, MS-13 is out of El Salvador.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even a Mexican gang. That would be the Mexican mafia or some other gangs. So he's not even remotely calling Mexicans animals, because those guys aren't from Mexico. Why didn't AOC, being the great woman that she is, stop Amy and say, look, at least let's talk about this and be honest about it. He never called Mexicans animals. She should have said that, but she didn't.
Well, it was a hagiography. A hazy interview.
Yeah, it was very hazy.
It was very hazy. Now, LaGuardia, as an airman, I know that LaGuardia Airport has a lot of problems. I think they call it the aircraft carrier or something like that. It was originally built where it is, which is not very advantageous in hindsight, right on the water, and that was for seaplanes. And back in the day, there was a big seaplane. A lot of people using seaplanes, and you could land on the water and then taxi right up to the tarmac, and people could, it would be just a little bridge. You wouldn't have to get a boat and all that crazy stuff. So LaGuardia is often known for its water issues, particularly during storms. So what do you think is really causing everything, all the problems?
Global warming.
Oh, yes.
The development of LaGuardia Airport also goes to the issue of climate change.
Absolutely. We already are experiencing a 2-foot sea level rise in our areas of New York 14.
2 foot?
There's a 2-foot sea level rise on Manhattan, too? I mean, it's just one spot that has it?
This is Delta 3952 Heavy. Go ahead, 3952 Heavy. We want to clear for landing. Could you get the fish off the runway, please? Yeah. No problem. We'll get the fish off the runway.
Flopping around. 2-foot sea level rise.
How do people put up with this?
We already are experiencing a 2-foot sea level rise in our areas of New York 14, which directly border LaGuardia Airport. So we're already starting to see sometimes flights get delayed because so much water and very heavy.
No, but listen to what she's saying. Listen to the logic of what she's saying.
So we're already starting to see sometimes flights get delayed because so much water and very heavy storms is starting to kind of take over.
Yeah, when it's a storm, the water washes up onto the runway. It's been this way since inception.
These runways. These areas of LaGuardia Airport are experiencing and are going to be facing very extreme levels of sea level rises. And we need to figure out how we're going to either protect the airport or how we're going to adjust basically our infrastructure to accommodate for that.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what her idea is, because it's in this interview, but I didn't clip it. She wants to get rid of LaGuardia Airport for low-cost housing. I mean, that's what New York needs. The tri-state area needs one less airport.
Oh, brother.
Having lived
Is
there.
Is she insane?
Yeah. Well, no, she's young. She's uninformed. Doesn't have a life history yet. Hasn't been around long enough.
Apparently doesn't fly out of New York much either.
And, maybe she's, I don't know.
She's one less airport. We don't need all these airports. We just need
housing. Some
low-income housing.
Yeah. And then the final bias story that just irks me is because it gets no coverage, and I'm just going to say it probably is getting no coverage because fans of country music are probably Republicans. Fuck them. MGM Resorts International, just to get a more favorable judge out of the district, has sued 1,000 victims from the Vegas shooting.
Yeah, I know.
And it's a trick, it's just a trick to get
it's a legal trick.
Yeah, to get a more favorable judge. But where is the outrage? Where's boycott Vegas, man? Boycott MGM. I don't want to boycott Vegas, but screw MGM. I mean, that's rude. And screw the M5M for not even really reporting on it.
Well, they reported on it.
But not out. This isn't that truly
like
is
Trump.
an outrage. This is an outrage. We still don't know what happened. There's all kinds of weird reports. Just no coverage. It's pathetic. Pathetic.
Okay. I have a couple different ways I can go. I got a couple clips that I can play.
You get one more. I think our 10-minute warning is already passed.
Yeah, I got two more. I'm gonna have to get out of here.
Okay.
I do it because they're short. Sure, I'll give you two shorties instead of a good.
Two shorties and the rest moves.
We gotta keep up with Elon Musk. Elon.
Oh, Elon.
And the pedo guy.
Oh yeah. Great story.
Boy's flexing his muscle there, so they are in some good spirits. There is a Silicon Valley angle to all of this. A tweet has Elon Musk in hot water, and it's costing Tesla billions of dollars. This all stems from a Twitter exchange about that cave rescue.
Elon. Business and Tech reporter Scott Budman is here with the fallout. Scott.
Yeah, Janelle and Raj, fallout is the right word. You may remember the $6 million man. Today we saw a $2 billion tweet courtesy of Elon Musk. Those billions coming straight from the wallets of Tesla shareholders. The tweet was part of of a back-and-forth argument between Musk and a British diver who helped rescue those trapped soccer players from the caves. Musk offered up small submarines, you may remember, one of his companies worked on to help. Well, the subs were not used, and that diver called Musk's offer, quote, a PR stunt. That's when Musk tweeted, quote, sorry, pedo guy, to his 22 million followers. Pedo, it seems, short for pedophile, an accusation with no backing. Now the diver is threatening to sue, and Tesla stock lost $2 billion worth of market value after the tweet came out.
I hope he does sue him.
And I told you to short it, and if you had, then you would have made some money. It went back up, but it definitely worked.
So Tesla's hard to short right now to make it stick. Yeah, I'd go with a long-term put. Anyway, the last one is a shut-up slave moment for the Californians who went through the trouble of getting all these signatures to get splitting up the state on the ballot. But no.
Yes.
Splitting Cal.
I got it.
Back in this country, the state Supreme Court of California has blocked a November ballot measure to split the state into 3 parts. Supporters argue the state has grown too big and too diverse to govern. But the court ruled that it needs more time to hear questions about the proposal's validity. The measure might still appear on some future ballot.
What a loss, huh?
I was going to vote yes.
Yeah, of course. I was all ready for that. Damn it. All right, everybody. Fast and Furious today. We covered a lot of ground, and there will be much more to talk about on Sunday. We've got clips we're holding over, so there's definitely stuff to talk about. And it's show day. Anything could happen. Keep your eyes open, your ears open, and keep talking to us. Let us know what you got. Anonymity assured when necessary and requested. And coming to you from downtown Austin, Texas, for the 4th time, we're the capital of the Drone Star State. That's FEMA Region number 6 on the governmental maps in the 5x9 Cludio in the common law condo. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where the fog's lifted, but it'll be back tomorrow, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Sunday with another episode of the No Agenda Show. Remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. Until then, adios, mofos! I need a cab.
Get it yourself. I'm staying here.
Donate to No Agenda. Or else.
It's going to be a great show. I don't need to take that abuse.
All right, first, deep breath. This was a big day.
You have been watching perhaps one of the most disgraceful performances by an American president that I've ever seen.
It was probably the low point of the presidency.
Wow, it's disgusting.
President Trump is not on America's team.
It was nothing short of treasonous. Donald Trump betrayed America.
We have a president who is betraying us.
He was like a scared child. The way he cowered.
Trump was pretty nervous. Most people are nervous when meeting their boss.
He embraced him. He validated him.
While trashing his own country.
And gave the middle finger to America.
Embarrassing the country.
The single most embarrassing performance that I've ever seen.
The United States was attacked, and President Trump today sided with the enemy.
It is disgraceful. Refusing to side with his own country. His own country.
You should call this the Surrender Summit.
This is evidence of collusion.
What we saw yesterday was collusion.
And he's basically saying, I'm with Vlad.
Why he did so, I can't really get into that. I'm not a doctor.
Trump was so impotent, it's no wonder he leaves the Russian summit with one ball.
It's a nice gift, although I think Putin still has a set of Trump's balls.
It was time for Trump to put his foot down. And he did, right on America's dick.
Sorry, it's not funny.
They, I think, feel like they can't depend on America. They don't know what to expect, and this is a global political crisis.
Lisa Lara, do you think it's that serious, a global political crisis, or do you think people are just kind of, listening to the president and thinking, well, wait 15 minutes and see what he says?
Oh, no.
Oh, he is unpredictable to the point where they have no faith or trust in him.
Oh no, I think it's a global political crisis. I totally agree with global political crisis. I totally Michael.
It's a global political crisis we are witnessing, John.
I'm glad somebody told us because we need to know this for the show. But
he is unpredictable to the point where they.
Oh no, I think it's a global political crisis.
We're gonna have to leave it there.
Global political crisis.
By the way, the website is cosmicweenie.com.
We're gonna have to leave it there.
Testify.
$100,000 with paid vacation. $100,000. Toughest job in America. President of the United States. 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 Preserve, protect, and defend, execute. Preserve, protect, and defend, execute. Qualifications of applicant carefully checked before position assigned. $100,000 with paid vacation. $100,000. Toughest job in America.
I'm not a left-winger. I'm not a liberal. I'm not a conservative. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm a Christian. I'm not a right-winger. I'm not a left-winger. I'm not a right-winger. I'm not a left-winger.
It's all right.
I'm not a liberal.
What are we, politicians?
I'm not a conservative. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican.
You smile. Let me finish.
They're collecting now for the foie gras drive for the neediest cases.
Welcome to the beginning of the end of Obamacare.
He's a funny guy because he gets people to say stupid things.
Your son played the bass. We sat through that.
We're also living in a grown-up world.
It's stunning in its detail.
The president is conflating the two issues. He's tying the collusion accusation, okay?
Any collusion?
One of the reasons why I lost my job, frankly, okay?
And spreading it to the world.
We're also living in a grown-up world.
I think Cheney treated Will. He treated W well.
Yeah, that's right.
You smile. Let me finish.
I let him know we can't have this. We're not going to have it. And that's the way it's going to be.
He's a funny guy because he gets people to say stupid things. I thought Borat was hilarious.
The best podcast in the universe.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Not that deep.